See,
Well, Simon, now we are live. So, mate, I wanna take time to thank you very much for jumping on here with me. Like I was saying to you, like before we went live, like it's crazy to think that I've kind of been one of the many that have been lucky to follow your journey on YouTube for obviously for like your lads that did a lot of the video work and like then obviously clicking on Amazon Prime to then see you boys on the big telly as well. And so let's kind of go back before all of that because I believe you come from a racing background as well.
back,
Where did
back in time.
That's it, mate. That is it. Where did it all start? Where did the bike start? What kind of got that interest of I like that?
Well, for me as a kid, it was when my dad came out of the RAF. He was an engineer in the RAF, and when we were very young, we moved to England. I'm from Wales, but we moved to England, and he had a pub. We had a pub in a little town in Hertfordshire called Welwyn Garden City, and it was one of the customers in the pub left a motorbike in the car park, and my dad kept saying to him, "Move the bike, get the bike out of the car park," and he said, "If it doesn't go, I don't want it." So my dad put it in the garage. Now, unbeknown to my mum, my dad had said to me, I was 10, nearly 11. And my dad said, if you can get that bike going, you can have it. And it was a Puch Maxi Free Speed.
Wow.
And had a gear change on the handlebar and whatever. So and it was a pedal to start it.
Yeah. Puch are Spanish, aren't they? Or they Italian?
Puch is yeah.
Spanish or Italian. One of them.
Span-Italian.
Yeah, they were step through like real skinny. Like
yeah, it looked like a mini motorbike. It had a little petrol tank on it, and but it just had it was pressed steel, so a lot of it was but it wouldn't start. I couldn't figure out how it would start, so I walked to the library because obviously we didn't have Google, we didn't have any, and in the library was a really early Haynes book of motorcycle maintenance.
Wow.
And I booked it. I'd like to join. The first time I'd ever joined a library, but I joined the library and they stamped it out, and I got it back. And I was raiding through my dad's little tin toolbox, and I got the plug out, and all it turned out was the carb needed cleaning out on it.
Awesome.
But I learned how from that book. I learned that it was a two-stroke. It needed oil and fuel mix. I learned how a carburetor worked, how ignition worked, and I walked down to the little car shop. Well, actually, I was on my chopper bicycle. I had a rally chopper.
Yeah, they're worth some money.
The little car shop and went in there and got a new spark plug, which was extortionate. But I used to bottle up in the mornings for my dad in the pub, and I'd get a bit of pocket money. And bought a new spark plug, and it fired. And I was riding around the car park, and then I rode it around. And then I decided I started riding it to school.
Oh, wicked!
And I had this little white crash helmet with these leather ears that come down. It was made like cork. And I used to ride it to school and leave it in the bike shed, stuff my crash helmet underneath the bike, and go. And my teachers all knew. The teachers all knew that I was buzzing about on this thing. So that's where it started. And then there was a CB 404 after that my dad had got through, I don't know, something or other, and I managed to down the little car shop at the end of the shop parade again, a little bloke in a brown coat. The shop was called Car Bits, and the floor was all worn away, with the wooden floor all worn away, and it stunk in there. But I went in and I said, I need a set of points for this, and he's like, oh, and he'd go off, and like 10 minutes later he'd come back with a little wax box. And he'd be like, they'll do you. I didn't have enough money, so I had to leave them there, get back home, blag some more dollar off my dad, hack down their back on my push bike again, get them again. So that's.
So what age was you with the CB when you had the CB4?
13.
Oh, wicked! I love it.
Riding it to school, and the teachers knew.
And that thing will go.
Teachers used to drink in the pub, So they knew, you know, I think my dad had some lock-ins with them, and I think it was that sort of thing. So I was like, they left me alone. But Jack Russell used to follow me.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
so
awesome.
that's where it started, and I hooked, just hooked ever since. Never from that day have never ever been without a motorcycle.
That's awesome. I mean, to be fair, it's crazy. Like, it's kind of similar to my journey, really. I mean, well, I first rode a bike when I was 7, a Pee-wee 50, like a lot of people, and that's some. Sorry about that. Yeah, I first rode it. It was a Pee-wee 50. Crashed it into a rock. Didn't ride a bike for about another 5 years or so, and then started riding mini motos. I was lucky enough to grow up in the south of Spain. I was only about 40 minutes from Jerez racetrack, and we had a local mini moto track in our village. And for me, bikes were like from my dad. I mean, the first bike I built was a 1983 CB 125, not CB, a GP Suzuki GP 125.
Yeah, I know it.
Yeah, man. I mean, I live next door to two-stroke side side carb, and set it the wide. What do you call it? The side valve. It was a bastard.
Yeah.
You know, with the disc and the little cutout that met up with the exhaust with the intake port.
The rotary side valve.
Fucking bastard, mate! Because as soon as you know better than me, as soon as it's got play in it, it doesn't matter how well you set that carb up, it's fucking leaking fuel around the side of it, and it's just like, it was a fucking nuisance.
They were horrible motorcycles.
Yeah,
but then Suzuki had the what was Suzuki's version of that? The AP.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, they're 50. They're pedal and pop. The AP.
Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously you had the FS1E Yamaha on it. Then Suzuki did the AP. Then I don't know what Honda did. I mean, obviously this is all a lot older than me. But I don't know what did Honda do? Bloody phones, man. That's my son's phone. Sorry about that. That's my 10-year-old son's phone on the side ringing away to some group chat. But so mine was very similar. I mean, I live next door to a Spanish copper. I had an English plated bike. We'd made number plates on the printer, on Windows Paint. Photoshop didn't exist back then. Well, not to my knowledge. And just built it and set off for my first experience on the road was, I was 16, built this, and I built it kind of into like a street tracker. So I took a belly pan off a Yamaha FZ6, turned it upside down, cut it, made my own seat, straight bars, and I set off for Faro. I lived about 4 hours from the Faro bike rally. My dad had a 1400 Intruder, and I set off, mate. No paperwork, no insurance, no license, nothing on a motorway, and I broke down.
Yeah.
I got to near Seville, and the bike broke down. Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, I bet it did. I wouldn't know.
So obviously for you, so you got to the CB. You were 13, 14 years old, riding around on a bike that was capable of 80, 90 mile an hour with ease, probably.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. It gets worse because then I've got my hands on a Suzuki PE 250 enduro bike.
All right. Okay.
Absolute lunatic of a machine. Honed my wheelies in on that.
Mate, I can't wheelie for shit.
Yeah, that was. I don't think I meant to start doing them quite as. But yeah, no, that was a cool bit of kit. But my mum always pushed for the fact that I should do things legally, and
they always ruin the fun.
Yeah, I think she got so pissed off with the old Bill knocking on the door because I think I had my own cell at one point. I'm sure I did, and they knew me by name. And don't forget, I've got a gaggle of mates that I grew up with that were all the same as well.
Awesome.
That were all in that. The the GT 250 thing that me and my mate Wayne bought, there's a Ram Air thing. That was just after the PE 250, but it was a road going thing. And but we cut the pipes off the back of it. And I have had some horrendous motorcycles, but my mum kept going on about, look, I was starting an apprenticeship in St Albans, so I just turned 16.
What was your apprenticing in, Simon?
At that very time, it was actually in print finishing, bookbinding, because I couldn't get on to anything mechanical at that point. I think at that point I could have gone in to a garage and blagged my way through into whatever I would, but that wasn't the done thing. The done thing back then was sort out an apprenticeship. So I got offered this apprenticeship in bookbinding, but it was a long trek away. And I said, Mum, I'll just use my. And she said, no, let's do things. So I didn't. It was bought for me because it was quite a nice bike. But it was an MT5. Honda MT5, a little trolley bike.
Right, okay.
My mum paid for my insurance and the tax. Actually, had to have tax discs on things then. And it was MOT'd. And off I used to go every day, ride the 15 miles to St Albans at 34 miles an hour. And I'm like, you know, a shitload easier if I just used the PE.
Yeah.
But I got home from work one day and my PE 250 had been, I thought had been nicked. But it hadn't. It had been removed from the household.
Oh, because they didn't want you on it?
Yeah, because I was an idiot. I was an absolute idiot. So it was going to... And, my mum's partner at the time was serving in the local constabulary.
Oh, lovely. So you had to be seen to be behaving.
Yeah, so the PE got removed. But not long after that, I managed to get my hands on a pretty smashed up, crashed H100 Honda.
Okay.
And between me and two of my mates, we managed to cobble the H100 engine into the MT5. It actually fitted in, but we had to change and that was my first time at stick welding. Because we blagged a stick welder. And
how did you get on with that?
It absolutely flew, this thing. 100cc, absolutely flew. We'd do 60 miles an hour. So work was a shitload easier till the motor blew up. But then I bought a TS125 because I was 17 at that point. But at that point, I'd already blagged my way out of the bookbinding industry and then into the mechanical industry. So I was like, I've got rid of that. I got rid of that. So yeah, I went to a road legal TS125.
Yeah, are they like an enduro style bike as well?
Yeah. It was all about getting. I'd gone onto the dirt bikes at that point. It was all about, a year later, I'd bought an RM125 and I was doing a bit of schoolboy motocross. There's some pretty dodgy pictures somewhere of me looking really retro. It looks really cool now, I bet, with this old very first monoshock RM125 with all my old Joe Roberts gear on and my shitty leather body armor and
which is probably all coming back into fashion now, isn't it? A lot of
seems especially to be... some of these revival dudes. Sam, my eldest, does the classic motocross in Australia because he lives in Australia now.
I was just looking on his profile today, and I'd seen that he's doing a Kawasaki, isn't he? An old KR.
Yeah. He restored a YZ and a KX125, I think.
Yeah.
And does the classic motocross, which is all three boys. I've got Jack, the youngest, who's a guitarist. I've got Tom Moose.
Yeah.
Tom Moose, and Amalam Sam.
Yeah. They're the two boys that are remained.
Yeah. So Moose and Sam were responsible for all the YouTube series. were also responsible for the Amazon Prime TV.
Yeah, because it says across the bottom, narrated by the Parry brothers, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool as hell.
When they first approached me about, Sam was working for Olin's at British Superbikes.
Yeah.
And I'd finished British Superbikes at this point. I was done with being away from home. I was done with.
We've jumped a lot. I mean, because
we've jumped massive, I know, but we'll come back to it.
Yeah.
But that's the point where I was approached to build a bike by somebody who we can come to in a bit. And that's when the YouTube started, because Sam was like, I need to film this.
Yeah, and they've done the way they did, like the quirkiness to it, and like you can just see that you all just get along so well, and like rip shit out of each other.
Their sense of humour between them is absolutely. I find it funny, and I'm in it.
Yeah, it's awesome. It is funny. It's incredible.
Yeah. So where we at? We jumped too much. What was the next?
So we've jumped because obviously
Yorkshire tea
again. Yorkshire tea is fucking expensive, really expensive, but worth it. So I had an idea that you come from Superbikes, because obviously again watching everything like one of them weirdos at home watching everything on YouTube. There was you built that Honda, the Honda CBR.
Yeah, the Blade.
Like retro race. Is it Honda? Oh, the Blade. Sorry, the Blade. But you've done it like a retro style with like a Rickman style fairing. Am I getting mixed up?
Oh, that's the TT.
The TT. Yeah. So that's where I think you'd mainly started mentioning that you had come from some superbike background. I believe.
Well, it was never
how did you get
a massive
superbikes?
Flag that was flown. It was.
How did that all happen then? I mean, it's fucking awesome. I love racing.
Club racing. And then that got pretty expensive, especially with having 3 young kids as well.
Yeah.
So I kind of dived out of that until I was a little bit later on. And then we started doing a lot of track days. Track days were getting really, really popular again. And I was quite quick. So it was
awesome.
It was a good mate of mine, Keith Malpass, or Pops, we call him. He said to me, let's just go do some racing. And I said, it's expensive stuff to go racing. And I said, but yeah, we can. We had a 95 S-Rad GSXR.
Yep.
And he said, I'll sponsor you. That his company would sponsor me going racing. So
that's cool.
We went racing. But I mean, there's a massive leap prior to that, because prior to that, I was already setting up bikes. I'd already fathomed out how suspension worked, what was good about what wasn't so good, how something should feel prior to that, from the early club stuff. So I was always more interested in how stuff works and how chassis work in relation to whatever circuit you're at. And I was always fascinated with the fact that a bike set up for Cadwell, say, wouldn't behave at all at Silverstone. They're completely different, and that always fascinated me. So I'm a nerd, absolute nerd, and I'm a sponge for information. So I'd get books, I'd get magazines, I'd watch videos, I'd tape whatever whatever what there was on telly. If there was a slight little tech thing at the end of some of the old Wayne Rainey, Kevin Schwantz stuff that was on TV at the time, I'd nerd badly over about what they were doing with where the motor was being put, moving the fuel tank backwards and forwards, but that always interested me possibly a little bit more than actually racing, even though I knew I was quick and I know how to ride. And it dawned on me I went from the S-Rad to 99 R1 4XV R1.
Yep.
All up there somewhere. And at that point, 99 area, actually it was 98, I started working for Ducati.
Righto.
And
So
and
you
there was
guys
a
have quite a
chance.
big connection with Ducatis, don't you? Because I know you built quite a few Ducatis, like
Yeah,
Cafe Racers.
yeah, absolutely. They were always a little bit of an exotic passion, and I saw the 851s with Doug Pullen and geeking out on the steel trellis frames and the fact that they were almost like Ferrari sort of motorcycles, but
Yeah.
they were never in reach. And I got a phone call one day. I was working at a bike shop in a local town, and I got a phone call from a guy called Mike Duval, and he said, "Have you heard they're opening a Ducati dealership?" And I was like, "What, in this town?" Like, it's in Welwyn Garden City. So I was like, "Really?" He said, I've gone for a job there. I think we should both go for a job there. I knew him quite well through bike circles anyway. I said, "I don't know the first thing about Ducatis, but I would literally be throwing women and children behind me to get a job at this place." And I thought, I turned up for an interview, and they're like, "What do you know?" And I'm like, "Not a whole lot. Teach me about
Yeah.
Ducatis." And they said, "Well, we actually fly you to Bologna
Wow.
4 times a year. You fly out to Bologna." There was nowhere at that point. It was owned by it wasn't Ducati UK. It was Moto Cinelli, and they were in Northampton.
Okay.
And there was a tech guy there called Jeff Green, who I would just aspire to be this guy, because
Really?
I think if you cut his head off, it just said Ducati through it. It was like
Wow.
Jeff Green was. I'd see him at the in Bologna if we were training, and I'd be like, "Oh, hello." I'd real geek
Yeah.
out about it
Oh my
because
God.
this guy knew fucking everything about Ducatis, and I was like, and I always, I just wanted to this much of his knowledge about the brand and about what the bikes did. The Super Mono was due to be launched. I caught a sneak preview of the single cylinder Super Mono that they were bringing out at the factory. I snuck into the Corsa department one lunchtime.
Right. Yeah.
You've got a
Which
bit
is
of a
the
free
which is
rein
the
on the
race
factory floor.
which is the race. The Corsa department is like the
Yeah,
race section. Yeah, for people.
yeah,
Yeah, Corsa.
yeah.
Yeah.
These big white doors, and
Yeah.
the had to like frosted windows. I'm 5'6.5", so these frosted windows were about here, and I was like, "Eeeh." But I was legging around outside the door, and when someone came out, I did a little
Snuck
side
in.
swipe in, and it was
Sweet.
just like, oh, just the magnesium swing arms and the
Yeah.
aluminium tanks and all the Olins, everything. That was all, and it was a hospital within the Bologna factory. It was another hospital within this hospital, and it was like, fuck, I died and gone to heaven.
Really.
Absolutely died and gone to heaven. And
Do you know? Yeah.
but then I'm like, right, fuck this, I'm racing Ducatis. So I got on the phone to Keith Malpass, my sponsor, and said, "Let's go race Ducatis." He had a 996 at the time as well, which was a bonus. And he said, "You're not fucking touching mine."
Not touching that.
We went off and did Sound of Thunder, and he had to be on some wild card race at a track that I was trying to remember what it was called the other day. I think it was called Darley Moor.
In the UK, then. So you did all your racing in the UK.
But he said, he rang me and said, I've booked you on this race, and it's at Darley Moor. And I was like, where the fuck's that?
Yeah, I don't even know. That sounds like Wales or something.
Yeah, it's sort of Derbyshire area.
All right, okay.
If anyone knows where Darley Moor is, if you remember. We rocked up at his. My brother as my number one mech, my number one tire warmer, whatever.
Yeah.
And we rocked up in this little van. I had a 748 wet bike and a 916 dry bike, and I thought, it's like an old car. It's worse than Mallory. Have you ever been to Mallory?
No.
Mallory's just a car park with a porta cabin in it. This is worse than that. It wasn't even as glorious as a porta cabin. And I was like, "Where?" I said, "Keith, what have you booked me onto?" And he said, "Oh, you'll be all right. You'll be all right." I said, "I don't even know my way around it." So I went and asked somebody else. I said, "What time's morning practice?" And they're like, "So there's no practice sessions."
What?
I said, "Oh, what a morning warm up." I thought. He said, "No, you pull up over there in that car park over there." He said, "and a bloke will come up to you with a bag, and in the
Oh,
bag are
you
these
pick
like
a number.
aluminium sticks with numbers on them, and you've got to rummage around in the bag, pull your number out, and that donates where you are on the grid." He said, "and then you line up in that other car park over there, which is just off the circuit." He said, "and then you wait for him to wave a flag, and you all fuck off." I was like, "Oh, right. Okay,
Wow.
that sounds interesting.
I'm gonna die.
I'm gonna die here, yeah." So then I went to the race office thing and I said, "Oh, signed on, give me licensing, signed on, blah blah blah, signed your form away to say that if you died here, they'd probably just stick you under the car park or something." And he said, "Have you been to Darlingmore before?" And I'm like, "No, mate." No, he went, "Oh, it's a track map." And I was like, "Oh, good. Track maps are
I'll
good."
stick that on the tank.
Yeah. So I had a look at it, and it's shaped like a baby's dummy, like a funny triangle. And I'm like, don't even know which direction it goes in, but it's because it's a triangle. It don't suppose it really mattered. You either did a shitload of them or a shitload of them. And
Fucking hell.
I pulled the thingy out the hat.
Go on.
Third.
So
Third
at
on
least
the
you ain't
grid.
got to worry about getting stuck into the first hairpin.
Well,
That's fucking terrifying.
I rumbled across the mud to get to this car parky bit where you line up, and there's just some faint lines on the floor. And I'm like, I said, "Is this third?" And he's like, this bloke's going, "Yeah, I think so." I was like, "Oh, right, okay." So I had a TL1000. Oh no, two TL1000s next to me. It was Sound of Thunder, so everything was a V2N1000.
Yep.
Or equivalent or whatever. And I looked behind, and there was just a sea of these levers held together with gaffer tape, and fucking, it was an absolute. And I'm like, "What?" And I'm full livery Ducati, right? I didn't pay for that. No, Keith Malpass paid for
So you're now the target because you're in the shiny shit.
Oh yeah, I've got all the gear on, haven't I? And I'm
They're like, we're gonna fucking have him.
Scooby, what's going to happen here? And everyone started. I thought all of this lot know what's going on. I don't know what's going on here. And they all started up. Everything started. So I fired the bike up, and I'm getting ready to go, and I'm trying to find out where the lights are, where the marshal points were, what the fuck, and it was off, gone. So something. I've got something broken in me anyway that hasn't got the fear. Right. I haven't got that. I was a kid that jumped out the tree. I was that kid, right? That bit's broken off of me.
Yeah.
Amongst other things that are broken off of me. And gone. So I thought I'm just going to stick with matey on the TL. I'll stick with him. He jumped the first curb.
What?
Because I was getting ready. I was trying to fathom out where his track was going, but he jumped it. So I thought, okay, that's the thing to do. When I get back round to that bit, I also didn't know how many laps we were going to do either. It was like, so it goes that way, and I just kept my head down, kept third, got a third, kept going. Wow. It was just a big triangle, jumped that bit. First race got a third, happy days. So second race, I was third on the grid because that's how it worked. There we go. So out of the 4 races that day, I got 4 thirds. Wow. Couldn't get past matey on the TL. Tried a couple of dodgy braking bits, went wide, and thought I was just like that at this point. I'm just gonna get done and get home. Because I come in after the first, my brother's going, "No, how was that? And I was like, "I fucking don't know."
I don't know where I am, mate.
Absolute chaos. Anyway, at the end of the day, I've gone into the thing, and because at that point you used to have your ACU license signed, and so I was getting this signed, and I said, "It's a trophy presentation today." I said, "I got, I'm looking at a 3rd place trophy. I'd like to put that up with that lot, please." And she went, "No, there's only trophies for 1st."
I just
Well,
nearly killed myself for that.
but we never went back there. But
No, no,
it was a fun day out.
yeah,
If Darley Moore is still going, um, good luck to them. I'm sure it is. I probably need to find out if it is. But I actually wouldn't mind going back there.
yeah. Go
And
back and cut. So was that your first proper race then?
on the Dukes, on the
Yeah,
Ducatis, yeah,
on the Dukes. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So
It was very, very
because
interesting.
they seem like. I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't really like Ducatis. Like, I know, I don't like the sound of them. I love the frames and I love the engineering. I'm not a fan of
What
the dry
sound don't you
clutch.
like? The dry clutch.
Yeah, I don't like dry clutch.
Never ever
That's,
stand anywhere near a MotoGP grid then, because all you'll hear is dry clutches.
I know, but to be fair, I've not even had the luxury. Even though I only live like
Force of
45
a dry
minutes from
clutch,
RF,
and
mate.
6 minutes to change it.
Well, that's all right though, isn't it? Yeah, I'll have some of that. I don't know. It's just a clanking to me. It's you know, I don't know, but I do love the frames on them, and I love the engineering on them.
Yeah.
I think the frames are. I think, like you say, that trellis frame is fucking awesome, and obviously, like the 1.6 back end is like one of the best looking back ends ever. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, even when they did it on the Gajiva, you know, on the ones
Yeah,
that
the
used to
little
get
Mito.
the little
Yeah.
Mito Gajivas. Yeah, I believe they had a 7-speed box, didn't they? The 125s, I think.
Oh,
I'm sure
bugger
they
if I
were a
know.
7-speed. They were.
Never had one. Never actually been anywhere near one really. I like the fuel tap thing inside the side of
Yeah,
the petrol tank, but if you
yeah,
take the
yeah.
dry clutch out of a Ducati, it sounds like a Honda.
Does it?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
quiet as
okay.
you like.
I mean, one thing I found really cool about Ducati, and this is kind of like the history. Like Ducati made radios, didn't they, before they made bikes?
Yeah,
You know,
Ducati
obviously they.
were heavily into electronics, and to this day, there's still marketed regulator rectifiers and
Yeah,
other stuff, but it was a lot of the electronics that were being used in lots of things back in the late 40s, early 50s were Italian.
yeah.
They were just
It was
good at it,
obviously.
I suppose.
Yeah, well,
Um,
I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm sure I saw a documentary about Ducati somewhere. Whether how factual it is, but what they basically said was Ducati mainly did electrics, and obviously the Germans came along, wiped out their factory. They obviously slowly rebuilt, and then originally they started off buying what they called a mobilette, you know, like the pedal and pop. They were buying it from another
Mobilete.
company. Yeah, the mobilette,
Well, it
and then
turned
they were
into the Cuculio.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's crazy to think, isn't it? Like that's where I mean, obviously
yeah, it
now
was a little
they're dominating now, aren't they? It's fucking ridiculous.
39cc two-stroke or 49.
Yeah,
I don't think it was a 49. I think it was 39cc
yeah,
two-stroke Cuculio, or basically a bicycle with a little two-stroke motor in it.
yeah,
Yeah, it spanned from there. Along came Desmodromic valves.
yeah, crazy,
Yeah, bevel
crazy.
drive prior to
And
the
that, and
belt.
and that's been around what since late 70s, the Desmo Sedici system. 70s is it?
Yeah,
70s?
yeah, good one. You have to quote me on that, or find out for me.
I know it's
You
been
might be a
around a
bit
lot
more
longer than
nerded up
people.
on that one.
Well, it's been around a lot longer than people think. I think it's obviously just the fact that obviously they ended up. I mean, I think probably for me where the biggest dislike to Ducati is obviously Rossi never achieved the Italian dream. You know, I mean, I'm a massive Rossi fan as well as many. Um, for me, it was just absolutely gutted that he couldn't do the Italian dream. But
Yeah,
yeah, you know, I think if you took the Rossi from 2000 and what was it 2003 when he jumped onto the Yamaha, I think if you took that same man then, put him on that Ducati, I think he would have been different. I think the fact that it come obviously had his first big injury in 2000 and was it 2011, or he snapped his leg in Mugello, didn't he? And then obviously from that went
yeah,
into
that was
Ducati. and then Ducati, and then obviously, unfortunately, the misfortune of what happened to Simoncelli. I just don't think the guy was the same guy that he was, and then obviously he managed to get back to Yamaha, and then obviously was robbed his 10th title in 2015 when he, but I think that's where like the bit like as well, like to do a 10th world title would have been incredible. Because my statement is I say to my dad, and my dad's obviously a massive like Barry Sheene fan, and I say like I personally believe Rossi is the greatest of all time. I think when you rank him on every era of what he's achieved, and I know like people go, oh, you can't compare him to this, compare him to that. Well, Agostini got 15 titles because he was winning more than one in 1 year. So if you
that one.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
I do, yeah.
I mean, I personally think that if you took from the day Rossi jumped on the first like Grand Prix, like 125, to the day he retired at 42 years old, and took the whole that range of years against what he achieved, I believe he's the greatest of all time. I think the 125, 250, 500 two-stroke, 990, 800, 1,000, won on all of them. Do
you not think that if Stoner hadn't suffered from his dilapidating laziness, that he might have, or even Marquez from his dilapidated wanky armness? Do you not think that?
I don't know.
But you've got the likes of Pedro Acosta coming through the ranks at the moment.
I know that.
I think there's a crown. A crown is going to be nicked.
That is crazy.
Just watching that kid ride now.
But I think for me, like obviously, like being able to sit down and watch MotoGP. My kids aren't massively into bikes, but being able to sit down with my son, who would have been 9, 10 years old, still watching Rossi race and thinking, fuck me, that was the age I was when I first... I discovered MotoGP when I moved to Spain at the age of 9. To sit down and still see so it's just that, it's like that. I mean, I don't know about yourself, but for me, superbike, like racing bikes belong on a track. I don't agree with them on the road. They're not really my thing. And I think that kind of seems similar to you with obviously with really the types of bikes you build. Obviously, massively, the bikes you build are designed to handle. Clearly, you can see that you put a lot of thought into, like you say, into the stuff But obviously, you appear to be more cafe racer, hardtail chops, which obviously we're going to get more onto that. But do you know what I mean? Like, I think that, yeah, it's just incredible to see that. I never got to watch Rossi race. I mean, the closest I'll ever get to him was one of my friends in Spain. He has a 750 slingshot, and like I said earlier, like we literally. So if you jumped on a bike from the village we lived in and turned it, you could get to a Jerez racetrack in about half an hour. Like, you'd have to be like, imagine like no traffic, and you literally just absolutely like a lunatic. You'd do it like half an hour-ish. And my friend had a 750, rode it to Jerez, took the indicators off, took the mirrors off, taped the headlight up, and finished second in the Campeonato de Andalucía, the Andalusian Championship race, and then rode home. And so I was talking to my friend one day we were talking about Rossi, and he says to me, he says, oh yeah, Rossi says that the M1's a young man's bike. And he literally said it how I've just said it. And I was like, well, that sounds like... And he says, and then obviously he quickly says, he said, do you remember my brother-in-law, Idalio? You might know it. You might have heard the name. Went Idalio. I said, yeah, I know your brother, ex-brother-in-law, Idalio Gavira. Right? Now, Idalio Gavira was, until the day Rossi retired, Valentino Rossi's rider's coach. So
Rossi's who?
Valentino Rossi's rider's coach. So when you see you look on any of Rossi's Petronas Day, like the last group photo, you'll see a guy stood there with a cap that says coach. I knew that guy at the age of like 12, 13. He won't remember me, but like, so that's the closest I'll ever get to like knowing that somebody's been around.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Do you know what I mean? And
that's cool.
Like, I mean, he wouldn't remember me, but basically Idalio Gavira, and Vasilio, I believe they're called. I can't remember his older brother. They're like fucking, like almost like motorcycle gods in the south of Spain. Like Estepona, Manilva. I don't know how well you know Spain, but literally just about 15, 20 minutes down the road from Marbella, from Porto Banús. And like one of my first like kind of like I was only 12, 13 years old, summer job working. Their parents owned a massive electronics shop called the Gavira shop. So obviously I got to like meet them all and that, but such a humble guy, you know, and obviously and then I got to know him a bit more when I became friends with obviously his ex-brother-in-law, which is my friend called Pedro. And yeah, I mean, they're all fucking just
That's Spanish
absolutely.
for Peter, isn't it?
Yeah, Peter. Oh, Peter. You know, you got Peter and Peter and Juan. You know, but yeah. Also, I mean, I love racing. I'm not lost. I was happy to fight for last place. I did a bit of pit bike racing in the UK when I moved back, and mate, even they're fucking nutters, absolute nutters. And like, I mean, people turn around like some of the big lads on the fucking R1s and shit. They go, oh, that's, you know, we're fuck around with that. I say to them, have a go. I said, look, there's a reason.
It's all part of owning the craft.
Sam Lowe's, all the boys. That's it.
Yeah.
There's a reason why they all do it, you know. And
yes.
Yeah. So we'll move on from bike racing. So obviously, to go from that extreme to where did all of a sudden I now look cool on the road instead of just looking like a Power Ranger? Where did that come in?
I look like a Teletubby now. It went. I was working at BSB. Sam started racing. Tom was never that. Tom was always dirt bike stuff. Moose wasn't really that worried about doing the road racing stuff. So I was working at a Suzuki dealership. No, me and Sam were working together. I started a company called DTM Racing after I left Ducati, and doing Ducatis. And Sam just left school, so he came to work for me. And he had a Derby 50 that he used to commute to my shop on. And he decided one day that he didn't like the look of it. So we bought a GP 125 body kit and grafted it on and built a little mini GP bike out of this Derby. And he's
awesome.
But I was already cutting bikes up then. I was already building some weird stuff then, but that's like, he then decided that he wanted to go racing. So it was Aprilia 125. He went 125 racing. I was doing a lot of chassis setups for track day. I was working for focused events, doing chassis setups at track days, as well as running DTM racing, as well as doing club meetings when and where I could afford them.
Yeah, it's not cheap, is it?
Yeah, no, it's not cheap. But still doing track days. And Sam, he'd done a couple of races. It was a piss poor slow Aprilia, and he said, "I'm not really feeling that." He said, "I want to go on something bigger." So the biggest we could put him on at 16 was a CB 500.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, "We could run you on a CB 500, and then see how you get on with that." So between him and his granddad, I think they cobbled together a bike, and I hadn't prepped the bike at this point. It was between him and his granddad, and so they'd read the regs, and it needed an oil pan, needed a belly pan, it needed this, needed that, needed the other. So prior to it actually getting to Mallory, which was his first race that he got booked in at, this CB 500, his granddad had made the oil catch tank or the belly tank out of an old roasting tin.
Get in
from, you know, the very big under the cooker.
Yeah.
The ones that are
Yeah,
under
love it.
everything, it's still got cheese and
Love
stuff
it.
stuck in. He'd mate had folded it all up and batted it all up, drilled it and mounted it to the bottom of this CB. So every time you run this CB500, all you could smell was roast potatoes.
Oh, that is mint. I love
It's like,
that.
what the fuck's that smell? And, but we turned up at Mallory with it. The whole family boom, ascended on at Mallory. We rolled this bike out. Said to Sam, just get out and just have a bit of fun. You've got 4 races to do today, so get out and have a bit of fun. And he's like, yeah, all right, Dad, all right, Dad. So went over the bike, done his pressures, sent him out first race. And within about 3 laps, I think it was a 15-lap race, something like that, for the first race. Within about 3 laps, it was Sam, and then the rest. It's like,
Wow.
fucking hell, it's gone off like a scolded cat. And it to the point where it was almost the straight at Mallory from the Gagler, all these other CB500s. It's like, fucking hell, kids on it. The end of that day, 4 trophies, big trophies.
Wicked.
There's an old picture somewhere. All these trophies. It's fucked off. He just fucked off. So we kept him in that series. And some of the bigger tracks, Cadwell and Brands, he had a big crash at Brands. High-sided, right in front of his nan. Landed on his head, luckily.
What was it like as a dad, like standing there watching your
son? I
like...
get asked that constantly. How the hell can you watch? Because in the end, his mum stopped coming.
Right.
Wasn't with his mum at that point, but we're really, and to this day, good mates. Oh. But she stopped coming. And then Nan stopped coming, especially after the high side at Brands Hatch.
Yeah.
And I metal putted his petrol because his bar went through his petrol tank. They get him out, they put metal putty on it, and fucking hoping it was going off, and he was stinking of fuel, but we sent him out again. And they stopped coming, but it was just on it. So we said, and I was racing Honda Hornets in the Hornet Cup.
Yeah.
600 Honda Hornets.
Yep.
Which is fucking hilarious. Some of the best racing I've ever had is on Honda Hornets. And I was buzzing about it. I was doing all right. It's quite a competitive group because you can't tune the motors, so it's like, but I was doing all right. I was getting thirds and fourths and things. I was all right. And then one day we booked a test day at Rockingham somewhere or something. Jenny Tinmouth took my Hornet out and came in and said, "That's fucking mad bike." And Sam said, "Can I have a go?" I was like, "Yeah, go for it." Gone. So we jumped on the Hornets. So
so you basically slowly got pushed out of racing because he took your
shit. Yeah. And then Sam went super sport 600s on a Gixxer.
Wow.
That was the progression with that one. But it got to the point where it was getting really, really expensive. Then I'd shut DTM racing and I'd moved into a Suzuki dealership up here. And Sam got his apprenticeship at Suzuki through this dealership. We had a dyno there, but I was getting more and more into dynoing stuff and fitting O-lins and setting O-lins up. And then because I was doing the chassis setups at focused events, I got asked to join a team. Didn't want to run a team. I was setting up the bike for Lodge. And he was the last British 125 champion, which was 2010. So that puts a tag on that. So I was working for them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he won that championship that year. So that was 2010. 2011, I went super sport with McRory Racing. Running James East and Webb.
So how come your boy didn't? How come your boy didn't? Was it money that kind of stopped put a stop to him
Yeah,
going.
it's always money. This country
Yeah.
is there's no big money in this country for
Yeah.
bike racing.
Do you know what, Simon? You're the first person in this country, because obviously, again, like like I said, from the age of 9, I was on the Costa del Sol. You're the first person in the UK that I've ever heard say that, because like the Spanish, everyone backs them. You know, like I said,
There's
when
fuck all money in this country.
when mini motors became a thing again, the council. I mean, to give you an idea of like the type of village I lived in, right? We were surrounded by orange groves. Like you looked over there, you could see the mountains, literally just surrounded by orange groves. And the local council, what they did, they literally tarmacked us a piece of land, literally dropped a fucking wagon full of old car tires, pretty much. Right, obviously it was all signed off. I mean, obviously Spanish would sign anything off really, and they were like, right, stay off the road. So we had floodlights. So I used to save my pocket money. I'm going back to like I would have been 2006. You know, mid 2000, early to mid 2000s, saving my pocket money to buy a new rear tire. I used to wear like, I used to use skateboard, you know, bash it. I mean, I was never fast, like I said, I was never fast, but I was out there. I'd save all my pocket money. We used to get 3 months off in the summer holidays, and I lived on a fucking. I mean, everyone knew like, oh, where's Josh gone? Oh, Josh, I got to spend 3 days.
Government schemes.
Loved racing.
Italy have got a government scheme for young riders. Spain have got a government scheme for young riders. This country's got fuck all.
I'm not a fan of this country.
The likes of back in the day, they tried to introduce. It was stuff like the Hornet Cup, but there was also the R6 Cup.
Yeah,
that was sponsored by Virgin.
Yeah.
But that was still expensive. You still had to fund that yourself. And I think back in those days, I think that at the end of it, you maybe got the bike.
Yeah.
But it was still like 15, 20 grand to ride.
Hickey's getting involved more, isn't he? Hickey's doing like, he's got his thing going on. I know Scott Redding started to do a bit of a school as well. But it's like you say, it's crazy, because what's crazy as well, like, is, I mean, my personal opinion, like, the Spanish are quick on a track, but I tell you what, if you ever see them on roads, a lot of them can't ride for shit.
Yeah, but Peter's not thick. He's not going to do it out of his own wallet. Scotty certainly isn't thick. And
no.
He isn't going to do it. They're in it to earn money. There's nothing funded. They're not funding it. No fucker is out there funding young British riders. They just ain't.
No.
The cheapest ride, you pay for your ride at Supersport. Our cheapest ride was 30k for the year.
Fuck.
Plus crash damage.
Shit.
So you're like, what 16, 17-year-old kid is going to come up with that sort of dollar and be any good? Because you might have a kid that's got some rich mummy and daddy that's happy days. I'll buy you a ride. Let's go racing. You look lovely in them levers. And he's potting around at the back. There's a
literally,
I can name a shitload.
And do you know what? Even I know that, because like, sorry to interrupt. Like, I got my friend that I said with the slingshot. He ended up racing. He did the odd round at the Husserberg 450 Spanish Cup, but the official Spanish Cup. So he turned up at Jerez and he raced the rest. We spent 3 days there, and I remember walking down the pits at Jerez and seeing these kids sat there on. I mean, back then smartphones weren't a thing, but like they'd be on the video game things. Obviously, they're minted, so they're like the latest whatever. The dads are warming the bikes up, and they'd be there going, "Right, come on, lad," and I was just there like, I would have loved nothing more than to. I mean, I love racing, like, you know, probably not as much as you do, but I mean, I try. I even keep up on. I refuse to pay for anything, so I won't pay for BT Sport. So I kind of like juggle YouTube as much as I can. Yeah.
Checks in the post.
Checks in the post. It's IOU.
I'll tell you what. Even though Sam was mental on racing, I could not get him out of the bunk bed in the van.
Really?
I go, Sam, get your levers on. You're out 3 practices in 5 minutes. He's like, and he'd start out, put his levers on, and but it was only that every morning.
Yeah.
During the rest of the day, he was
Rest of it, he was
wearing the
on
go.
it.
Just can't get that little fucker out of bed.
No.
Nightmare.
Yeah.
But
So obviously, yeah. So
where are we
that's
at?
so yeah. So we're at. Your lad had a derby. I'm guessing, was it a sender that he had? The derby sender. Was it an enduro? Or was it
Yeah.
the GPR?
Yeah, we've
So
gone
you
right
did-
on from that. We've gone right up
Yeah.
to
So we've gone up, and you'd built him a like a GP style bike, and we got back into a bit of talk about racing. So so do the Harleys come from the love of the Ducati, the V twin? Is it the V twin thing? Is that where that kind of? Because obviously I followed your journey. Everyone jumped on, and you were getting massively into cutting up Sportsters, making them look they look fucking. And I'm guessing that's where the word comes from, being Southern, and fucking hell, that looks mint.
I fucking hated Harleys.
You hated Harleys
Fucking hated them.
until
Even if you were to mention it around me, I'd go ditch pump pieces of shit.
and then what
Build
happened?
finish is shit. Everything
What
about
changed?
shit. It's
Something
certainly not a Ducati, and
Something
it
changed,
never
though.
will be a Ducati. What changed was I had a phone call. I was crew chief in a super sport team at British. No, I wasn't. I was number one tech in a super bike team at British. Housel Racing. We were running Lee Costello. Sam was working for a rival lot called Split Lap, who had Carl Harris and South African dude, can't remember his name. Anyway, Sam was working for another team. I was working for this other team. But it was little bit volatile, that team, because the team owner, who I've actually mentioned the name now, haven't I? Shit happens. Team owner was a bit wayward.
Yeah.
But I got a phone call. I got a phone call from an old friend of mine that I knew was working for a company down here called Harris Performance, who built swing arm
Harris.
frames
Yeah,
forever.
yeah.
Steve Lester Harris and another guy
Who
called Steve
doesn't
Baker.
know Harris really?
Harris Performance is Harris Performance. Happy that. Who Sam went to work with afterwards. Anyway, but went to work for doing Olins at British. So that's where Sam went with that lot. But prior to that, anyway, I got a phone call, and this guy Ian McLeod, and I said, "Hello, Ian. How are you?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm all right. I'm no longer at Harris's." And I was like, "All right, what are you doing then?" He said, "Well, before I tell you, I've got a proposal." And I was like, "Oh God,
Here
what?"
we go.
Yeah, here we go. He said, "We're thinking of running Harley Davidsons at British Superbike." Fucking
Okay.
fell off the chair. And I was like, nah. And he's like, XR 1200s, we're going to absolutely blow them out with Dimag wheels, Olins, everything. Harris yokes, Harris rear sets, Harris exhaust systems. We're going to load
Did
these
this
bikes
happen?
up.
Did this happen? Because I don't
Yeah,
remember
put
seeing
30
it.
bikes on the grid. 4 of the bikes I want you to run.
Wow.
I'm like, it's a Harley, Ian. And he's like, I said, I don't know anything. He said, come up to Birmingham, Harley UK, come up to Birmingham and check it out and see what we can work out. So I was like, all right. I was mildly curious at this point, still thinking, fuck Harley Davidson. Fuck Harley Davidson. Fucking horrible. So I went to Birmingham. I saw the way that Ian had, because Ian's ex-Harris's, but seeing the way that these bikes were being put together with everything, and I was like, fucking amazing. Yeah, I'll do it. And the first round that I got to actually run these 4 press bikes, so I had guest riders at every meeting. So I had to set these bikes up completely differently every meeting. I had another guy with me called Stuart. Snap-on delivered these big fuck-off toolboxes full of Harley tools that we didn't get to keep at the end of it, all of this. But
they love their funny sizes, don't they?
The funny sizes.
Yeah, funny sizes. Yeah.
Imperial. And well, inches. There you go. Back in the day. But you grew up in Spain, so you've been metric fucking
Oh,
forever.
metric, man. I've been metric always.
Yeah, I still remember sixpences. But so this was a massive baptism of fire. I was like, actually, these Sportster engines are fucking cracking. Good little bike. And the first rider they gave me was Jeremy McWilliams.
And look what he's still doing now on.
He's on the baggers now. Yeah, mate.
He's racing for Indian now, and he full factory Indian rider.
Yeah,
is that right? Yeah.
But these things, they did go. But I had the likes of Dave O'Johnson, Michael Nees, Motorcycle News, Charles, Motorcycle News. I had Mark Davis, who was the last British 250 champion. I had some really fucking great riders throughout all that time of running those bikes. There were 30 odd on the grid, and when they crashed, I was having to use scaffold bars on the frames when they crashed. So I'd work through the night. I got paid pretty good, but I worked through the night getting these bikes back together, and just changing the wheels in them was a nightmare, from wets to cut slicks and that. But so at the tail end of that, particularly running those 4 bikes, I went back to Super Sport after that. But in the back of my head, I'm like, these fucking Sportster engines are pretty cool.
It's there now, isn't it? It seems to be a common trait with Harleys. It's there. So
I let that go for a little bit. I had another phone call. I'll tell you what year this was, because this was the tail end of 2013, right? And I had another phone call, and this was from a guy called Alistair, a friend of mine. And he said, I bought a Ducati. I was still doing Ducati stuff, but I was doing a lot of it from home. I had a garage on the side of the cottage. He said, I've got a Ducati, can you sort it out? So I said, yeah, sort it out. Brought it around, had water in the tank, I sorted that out, belts on it, off he went. Then a phone call about a week later from him, and he said, I want you to build me a bike for a new place that me and a couple of my mates are starting up, and we're going to put on a show. He said, but I want a bike built for it. I'm like, what do you want? He said, I'll give you free rein. He said, I've got a 900 SS Ducati that we can afford to cut up. And he said, I'll give you free rein on it. I said, what's this show? And he said, it's in London. He said, we're starting up a new club. And I was like, what's the club? And he said, it was under some arches in Shoreditch. He said, it's me, a bloke called Dutch.
Yeah.
And
I haven't been yet. I can't wait to get down there. I haven't been.
Yeah, there's four of them. Alistair's obviously a co-founder member. So I was like, what is it? He said, we're just going to call it Bike Shed, and we're going to do a big show at Tobacco Dock.
Yeah.
He said, and I want this bike built for it. And I'm like, fucking hell. Yeah, all right. Yeah, why not? I said, what do you want? And he said, I'll give you free rein. I cut it in half.
You cut the Ducati straight in half.
I cut it in half, and I did a full even the wheels were white rainbow metal flake. It was a full calf racer. They called it Monroe. It is on the on the internet somewhere. If you want to search.
It is on there.
This bike, and it was actually on the, as you opened the doors as you went into the show, it was on the first plinth as you went in.
Yeah,
it was quite a cool bike. Anyway, Alistair said during the time building this bike, he used to say, "How's it looking?" And I said, "Oh, it's looking mint. It's mint. This is a mint bike." And
that's where it's come from.
He said, "Are you going to let me see it yet?" And I'm like, "No," because I didn't let him see it.
Wow.
From the off, I didn't even give him sneak pictures. And I had the clutch, the dry clutch cover. I had that all machined out with the Bike Shed logo in it.
Wow.
BSMC or whatever it was in there. I had that laser cut out, and there's loads of other really cool shit that I did on the bike. And it was a cool bike. Anyway, when I unveiled it to him, he went, "Fucking, I don't like it."
No.
He goes, "I don't like it."
Really?
I was like, "All right." oh well, shit happens. Pay me then. And I got paid
Wow.
anyway. He did like it, but I don't think it was like, oh, it was pretty bling. If I find a picture of it at some point, and you'll go, ooh, or you'll go, fucking hell, that looks cool.
No, I do. I have seen the bike. I've seen it on. I think one of your lads put a picture up it on one of the videos. I seem to think when it because your boys also built one of their first own projects on the YouTube channel was a Ducati, wasn't it?
Well, Ducati.
And I think they put a picture up, I believe, of Monroe.
They might be right. Well done. I actually think it's cool. It's got tiny little stars all built into the pinstripes that I had my painter do at the time. Dexter, his name was, and but it's rainbow flake as well. It's a cool fucking bike. But there you go. Anyway, he said to me, this is Alistair. He said, I got a chance of a unit up the road, and he said, I think we should build more Ducatis in this unit. I said, oh, quite happy at home. I'm happy at home. I've got my little superbike shit going on, and I'm quite happy just building stuff in my shed, which meant that whenever my dinner was ready, Alison would either chuck a stone down at the tin roof or send the dog out to come and get me for my dinner or whatever. I said, I'm quite happy. And he said, it's literally just up the road, but it's quite a big unit. I was like, oh, fuck it. All right, we'll go and have a look. And, but Mint had already kicked off at that point. I'm like, anything that was built in my garage was Mint. It's going to be Mint. He added the customs and he added the first moustache because it was a little bit.
Yeah, you had the
bike steady, calf racer, gentleman's ride.
Yeah.
Thing, that scene, the hipster.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the things that I absolutely champion. Anyway, I went and had a look at this unit, and I was like, "Fucking yeah, we could build stuff in here." And that's to this day is that unit. Alistair left, had quite a lot to do. I mean, we've done another couple of bike shed shows, another couple of builds since. Well, I've had a bike there every year, but and I'm still friends with Dutch. And
did you have one last year? Because I think didn't you just go with Dominique?
Dimonte. Yeah, no, we didn't have one there last year.
Yeah,
but one of my bikes was there.
You went with her, didn't you? Yeah, I remember. Yeah. I remember seeing it on the video. One of your bikes was there.
But that was the bike that I built for the COVID. I built the bike for the bike shed show, but we never got there because of COVID. But ironically, it was there.
Wow.
I never put it in. The owner, I think he's president of the Ducati, because it started off life as a monster. That bike, that's called the Mint Tricolor, or the Minster. But he entered it off his own back.
Wow.
I didn't even know it was there, but
that must have been cool. Though, walking around and then just seeing your bike. Oh, fucking hell.
Yeah, it was. It's warming. It's warming knowing that they're keeping them.
Yeah,
they're keeping them as good as that.
So
riding them, because none of them are built for show. You've got to ride it. If it gets scabby, fix it. If it gets chipped, paint it. But you got to ride my bikes. You can't.
Well, and obviously, like you say, because you know what you're doing, you know that whatever you cut up, you know it's going to handle because you from the rate.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's different when I cut shit up. I just cut it up and it looks cool. Well, I think it looks cool. You know, to me, I don't know if it's for fucking right angles and shit. I'm like, yeah, I can glue that bit of metal to that bit, you know, and then I can use a flapping disc and make it look like I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, even my hardtails handle, but the trick to that is not to fuck about too much with a headstock. The moment you start fucking about with a headstock, it starts getting lazy to tip in, or it tips in too quick, or it's so the trick is Harley, as bad as they are, the angle that they set their stock headstock and their Sportsters is a reason why it's called a Sportster. Is because they handle, and you can actually throw a Sportster about quite well, as proved in British Superbikes. But you just haven't got the brakes to stop it whenever you need to stop it. But you just uprate your brakes then, don't you?
Yeah,
But
you
I
just
can
chucked a Brembo on it, was
muscle a
it?
sports screw along.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've not had the opportunity to ride a Harley yet. I've asked if I could have a go on his, and he keeps just looking at me with a funny look. And then I told him if I ever get my hands on the bike, all the chrome's going to powder coater. And then I think he just looks at me like you're a retard. I'm like, I hate chrome.
Chrome don't get you home and all that. I think
Yeah,
there's a time for it. Chrome works if you use it sparingly. I quite like
Dad,
Chrome.
he's in the comments. He's in the comments. Yeah, Dad, you heard that. Simon said if you use it sparingly.
Where's the comments?
It's on the side. We've had a few. I mean, they're all saying all good things about you, mate. Yeah, all good things. No, that's it. Yeah. I don't know if you can see it across the screen now. That's a comment from my dad. He's just commented, "Ha, like old man next door."
I am an old man.
But yeah. So obviously, because then you became known for white frames, didn't you? There was quite a lot of talk on YouTube when everything started to have a white frame, and
yeah, it was all about white frames. Monroe was a white frame. A couple of the earlier Ducatis that I'd built were white framed because I fell in love with an 851 that was in our showroom back in the day, and it was an Old Spice Ducati 851, and Old Spice is a 70s aftershave.
Yeah, still going.
Your old man would know what Old Spice is. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's still going, mate. Not this modern day Spice that sends you loopy in a park when they're smoking all this dodgy shit.
No, I wouldn't want some of that. Yeah, no, not that. But and it was always the fact because it was a white frame, it made the frame pop out, and I was like, that's love. It's still actually that particular 851 is still in my workshop.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, there you go. Next to my 998 old race bike, which I still have. I should get around to sorting them out really, but got lots of other things to do. So yeah, white frames was all about white frames. Off the back of that early 851.
Yeah.
And then I was talking to somebody at a show and they said, I'd have one of your bikes if it didn't have a white frame. And I said, what's the matter with a white frame? And he said, I don't like white frames. I said, I'll build you a bike, mate. I don't have to have whatever fucking colour you want.
You've done a few with black frames, and you've done one with an orange frame as well. Or am I getting? I'm sure I've seen one. No,
I can genuinely say to you now, I have never done one with an orange frame.
I don't know why. I'm gonna getting mixed up with something else I've seen then.
The KTM.
Yeah,
it'd be a KTM.
Yeah, because that's where the orange frame is. Yeah, because I tried to, because obviously I'm on social, I'm trying to like, and obviously being that I already follow your journey, I'm like, I swear I've seen, because that KTM that went through like season 1, season 2, and obviously the YouTube lot, and then the last lot that your boys did, he started to really get on and get it somewhat.
Yeah, it was running and riding.
Yeah.
Not finished, but running and riding.
Yeah.
So then he turns around to me and says, I'm going to Australia. All right, son. All right. He says, yeah, no, I'm going to the end of the year.
Well, you didn't believe him?
Nah. Because Sam, throughout his life, has gone, you can't tie him down. And the moment you try to tie him down, he shuffles around. And so he said, oh, I want to go and live in Spain. All right, okay. He never went and lived in Spain. He said, then I I want to go and live in America. All right, yeah. He went, and
Come
6
back.
weeks later he come back.
They try shooting at me, Dad.
Oh, you're home then? He's like, yeah. So then he goes, I want to go to Australia. Well, fuck me, 2 years later, I still haven't seen him. So I think he's pretty settled. He's pretty settled there.
Yeah,
He said,
you've only got to
out?
look on his Instagram page and see, like, he's fucking living it up, and
He's on the Gold Coast. He was working for Harley for quite a while. He's now gone to he's running a workshop at a multi-franchise dealership. That's a comment. I need a Mint Customs white frame Harley in my life. One day. Yeah. Give me a ring.
there we are.
On that note, if we go a little bit up to date here, because I got a phone call from a guy called Cliff, and he said, I look after his Ducati, and he said, I want to build something wacky, and I'm like what? He said, Harley. I was like, oh yeah, all right. Sports stuff, yeah, all right, yeah, fuck it, let's do it. So I looked into it, looked into sorting out how I was going to do this sports and what he wanted. It was quite a long list of what he wanted. So it turned out that I knew a guy called Andy who owned a company called Sledhead that were building frames.
Right.
And I rang him and said, can I have a frame? And he's like, what do you want? I said, I don't know. Well, send me a frame and we'll see what the coup is. So I ended up getting more or less a rolling chassis off of him. But it didn't sit right. So I ended up.
Yeah, because you build most of your. You build all of your frames, don't you? Really?
Oh, yes,
generally speaking, yeah.
Yes. Now. And that was the first thing of like, without Sledhead have finished now. I think there was a bit of money issues going on, and Sledhead themselves were in a bit of a trouble, and I think the design and the jig and that was sold to someone else, and I don't actually know what went on. I don't want to know what went on. So I thought I could do this. I can do this.
Yeah.
I can do this, and then there'll be instead of a Mint Customs bike built with a Sledhead frame, it's a Mint Customs bike.
Yeah.
And so I made my first jig back in the day. I made out of just 2 fucking great big lumps of box section.
Is this before the YouTube days?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's how I know. That's how I must know that you generally built your own frames. And then when you do more of a budget bike, you cut the back off a sports, don't you? And then build a hardtail.
Build my own hardtails. I try and do as much. Back then, I was trying to do as much as I could. Yeah, but it's quite a rudimentary jig, which I still use every now and again. I've got a full-blown jig, rotary jig now that's fucking lovely. But if I'm just doing a hardtail conversion on a stock sporty frame, I'll pull the little jig out. It's purely set up to do hardtails on Sportster frames. Happy days. So there's absolutely no reason why I don't use it rather than set the big jig up.
Yeah.
The big jig is what we've just done Diamante's frame on.
Yeah, I haven't got to watch. What I've noticed, and I'd be interested to see if Diamante seems to have the same thing. As you start to dive more into the social media, trying to create content and like learn more stuff, you seem to start missing people's stuff. Like I haven't what I think. So the last lot I watched of you guys that's how I knew you'd been to the bike shed, and then you did Trip Out as well last year, didn't you?
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
saw
I did
all
loads
that
of shows
footage.
myself last year. I did Southwest and the Hookup, but they're for me. They're
Yeah.
my holidays. It's not a Mint Customs thing. That's what
Yeah.
I want to fuck off and do it.
Yeah.
And I don't even wear merch
No.
when I'm on holiday. I'm on holiday. I'm on my old proper banged up shitter of a chopper, 1340 Evo, 1987 Evo. That's
Yeah,
an absolute.
I found it weird that you were on an Evo, like because I know you built that other one for I believe it's a friend of yours, that big dude, and you built that massive with the big 300 rear wheel.
Muscle,
That was
yeah.
yeah.
Adam.
That's an Evo as well, isn't it? But generally,
That's an Evo, yeah. But I had a Road King prior to that. I've got a Road King. I've got the other stuff that you don't see out there on.
Yeah.
In that
for the people that watch,
all of this social media thing is all Sam and Moose's fault. It's all their fault because it was him that went, I'm gonna start doing some filming, and then it just escalated from that. Alistair started the Instagram page for Mint Customs and Facebook page, and then when he said, "I'll go to America," there's the passwords for that. What the fuck am I supposed to do with that? So then I gave that all to Sam and Tom. I said, do something with that. And then the YouTube thing kicked off, which was mental, and it was all Sam's doing. And then it was a director's portal for Discovery Channel that got offered to Sam, and Sam said, "What we're doing with that?" And I'm like, "Nah."
Yeah, you know, you hear a lot about that. Like, obviously, I mean, you know this as well. Like, look what Jesse James has just done. He's just created Outlaw TV in it because he basically said because obviously we all know that Jesse James was kind of one of the pioneers into the reality fabrication TV, and he was like, why are they getting all my credit for everything that I do, and like-minded people equally as talented, and that was kind of like listening to him because he did a podcast with Ride Choppers or Die with Ollie that has Ride Choppers or Die. He has a massive podcast, and obviously Ollie got to interview him, and again been very fortunate I got to interview Ollie, and Jesse James talks about how Discovery, everyone that's mentioned Discovery in the bike scene have kind of said they just want to run you into the ground. They want you to re-weld a piece because they didn't get the right angle. You know,
yeah, they wanted jeopardy, so they wanted. They said, "What goes wrong in the workshop?" We're like, "Nothing." What about arguments? Do you have arguments? We're like, "Nothing," because all of this with choppers and building custom bikes anyway, and my sons, it was like Orange County choppers. It's all about, oh, you like Orange County choppers? Fuck all like Orange County choppers.
No,
nothing like them. We'll get on. If something does go wrong, we'll fix it. Who the fuck wants to see a broken bolt in a whatever? And who's going to throw a hissy fit? So they're saying, where's the jeopardy? Where's the argument? Can you create some tension within? No, we have a fucking laugh doing this. No, we're not creating any of that. Well, if you want to put anything out, then this is Sam saying to them, because there's nothing to do with me. Seriously, fuck all to do with me, right? Sam's saying to them, look, if you want to put it out as us. Don't put it out under any other premise. And Moose was like, it's this or nothing. So the two boys have said to them, if you want something, you can have a load of stuff on the they want pretend drama. No shit, Sherlock. And it was like, well, none of us are knuts. Rearrange the letters in that.
Yeah.
We're all just normal, and we don't. If I was going to tune into something to watch on YouTube or telly or whatever, I can't be asked for all that. I want to have a little bit of a laugh. Two, I want to see some cool bikes being done, and I just leave it at that. So Sam and Tom said to them, I will put together a special. You can put that out onto whatever you want. And if people want to watch it, people will watch it, which was the Amazon Prime Video.
Yeah.
mint custom.
Yeah, the mint
special.
custom, mint custom specials. Yeah, I actually tried to
So-
look for it earlier. I think either I didn't look for it properly or I couldn't find it. I've watched it on on Amazon, but I couldn't find it earlier because I was going to watch it again. Or I was going to put it on whilst I was.
For a refresh.
No, I fucking loved it. I mean, the Morgan Freeman like intro voice,
Oh.
fucking awesome.
Yes,
Awesome.
Morgan. There's David Attenborough as well in there somewhere.
Yeah,
in the workshop.
love it.
Yeah, Morgan
Love
Freeman, fucking amazing. But that just goes to prove one, how not only how fucking good Tom and Sam are at building bikes, but how fucking good they are at creative, filming, the sense of humor. Because the sense of humor is it's fucking the zombie special thing. That was fucking funny. The one that when I cut my finger off weren't funny, but even still, there was a bit of humor in that somewhere.
That's still available on YouTube. You can find that where Simon does lose his finger. We spoke about that earlier.
Yeah. Fucking twat. There was a story behind that, and that's because the bike was bogging down.
Yeah.
And we'd built this stainless steel
stainless airbox that you did, yeah.
And had 2 holes underneath it. I thought it was drawing in too much air, so I reached down to block a hole with my hand, but the bottom of the airbox came right down, right next to the front sprocket. So as I've reached in to block the hole, my glove, the chain grabbed my glove, spun my hand through the front sprocket, broke this finger. I broke it again at Christmas, but broke this finger here and cut the end of that clean off. And it was like whoosh, oh, and this was flapping about. There's a pulse in this finger, which is quite strange because it squirts out.
Wow. And I think the only thing you were interested in is whether you could play bass. I think you said it on YouTube.
Bass,
like,
yeah. I was like, oh man. But you know, shit happens. It took me nearly 18 months to. A lot of the Smash songs are pretty fast and stuff, so it took me a long time to transpose stuff from that finger to this finger. So
yeah,
but I got there in the end. I got there. I mean, I was shit at it before, so I'm not much better now. But there you go.
But that's
that's the way that went. We didn't want to do Jeopardy. We didn't want to bow to them. We didn't want to do anything like that. But as of last week, there are rumbles in the jungle about something else.
Nice. We'll keep an eye out for it.
That might be happening. But it also got to a point when the boys left. Sam's like, right, oof. Tom said, there's not enough money in this game. I'm going to go back to do it. He's a Sparky by trade.
Well, cool.
Fucking good welder, good fabricator.
Got bills to pay.
Brilliant designer. Yeah. He said, I'm going to go back on the tools. I'll come up at weekends. I said, all right, yeah, okay, no problem. But that then left me on my own battling with stuff that had piled up because of the YouTube series, the stuff that had piled up. There was even one build that I farmed out. I maybe shouldn't have farmed it out, but I farmed a Sportster build, because I just couldn't keep up. It was still labelled as a mint bike, but it was built somewhere else.
Okay.
And to be honest with you, I really don't know what happened to that bike.
It's out there somewhere.
Yeah. But that originally started off, I built the guy that commissioned that bike. I built him a frame. He didn't like it. It was too much like a chopper. So I built another complete frame, but I built it stock height, stock length. And and then I farmed it. Yeah. Farmed it out. But it's one that got away maybe. But I was just too busy.
Do you know what I really liked about, apart from like how it appears so genuine, what I really liked about like what you guys did on YouTube is like everyone. So I've never ridden a Harley. I can't afford a Harley, and most people can't. But I like the fact that even though I'm aware that if you look in the right places, you can find the right bits. I like the fact that you guys kept it real. That we've got Harleys, but we've only just got them. Not saying that you're struggling
Oh,
financially, but do you know what I mean? Like it was really cool to see, because typically people have Harleys generally have either saved their whole life or they've been really, really lucky. It was so cool to see that caliber of bike being built, but keeping it real, like keeping it like, do you know what?
it's all shoestring. There's
Do you know what I mean?
no big massive budget, because we're between the three of us, we were relying on a skill set that all three of us brought something different to the table. The old man being the old font of knowledge that was dipped into, but the way Sam and Tom approached the build was different. To it was more clinical to the way that I was doing them, or I still do them. It's very clinical and very time consuming, but no massive budget, because that's not real. It's not real.
No.
Why sugarcoat something? That front sprocket's fucking 65, 70 quid for a front sprocket. Well, I'm fucked. I can't. I'd rather have a meal this month. I'll wait till next month before I can buy that sprocket. It was, to keep it real was a very true thing to to all three of us, because we're scratching around for paint. I'm bartering with my painter guy, going, look, I can't do £1,000 on a paint job. It's just the wrong. It's the fucking wrong way to do things in here. £500 for a paint job we can do, and he's like, well, we'll cut back on the metal flake. We'll cut back. Well, really, can't you just do it for 500 quid?
Yeah.
And in the end, they were going, but you can't even go, I'll tell you what, I'll big you up on Insta, or because I fucking hate that. I'll big you up on YouTube. I'll mention you on YouTube, and maybe we can get it a bit cheaper. Would that be really good? Fuck off. Just please, just do it. Help me out. I haven't got a lot of money. And the bikes, the way that all comes to fruition is at the end of it, a finished bike, unless you're fucking mental like Cliff Jones and you blow £20,000 on a build because you want billet everything, Dragon Soul forks and blah, 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 blah. But you can build a pretty cool looking custom Harley, finished product. I haven't sold one for more than 9.5.
And that's crazy. Like, especially because we know that since they released the 48 and all these hipsters now went, let's cut a mud guard down, let's put some off the shelf pipes, and we're calling it. I mean, and this isn't me even talking. Like, anyone that there's a few people that are watching that know me quite well know that I don't claim to be a fabric. Like, I've recently been doing some live video in my shed. I've got a 6x10 shed with a leaking roof, and I've got a 125 a Chinese 125 that I've had since I was 21 that I'm now rebuilding again. And I've cut the sides of tanks out, turn them inside out, and I've created scallops. And through the power of social media, I've been getting tips and tricks, and like I've said on the videos, I'm like, look, if you're jumping on here for a how-to, this isn't a how-to. This is me blow a hole. Watch me blow a hole in it whilst I try not to blow a hole in it. And the only reason, first of all, I started, I've been lent a MIG with very little. I mean, I say with very little knowledge. I managed to successfully build a one-off custom subframe for a ZX10. That's been helped. MIG.
And you MIG'd your tank.
I MIG tacked, and then I've given it to someone that knows what they're doing.
I'm gonna say, if you fucking MIG that and it doesn't leak. Yeah, and you're running it on about 40 amps to spot it all the way up with a MIG, then I'll give you a job.
Oh mate, I'd love to. Hopefully someday I'll come down and just hang out. But like that's kind of like where I kind of really relate to like what you guys were doing on YouTube, except from I actually have no clue what the fuck I'm doing. But I feel, and this is kind of like coming around to like why I really started to create. Decided to do podcast was I just felt that not that you needed it, but I just felt that the people that are only just starting, whether it be you just cut a back end off and getting some eBay special lights on there, like at the end of the day, yeah, okay, it's not a full on build, but it's still you having to go and giving your piece to the culture.
Massively encourage it. Massively encourage it.
And that's what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do. Like, and that's literally why people have. I mean, mate, I'll be honest. I'm literally just about to finish my first YouTube video, and I'm aiming for 10 minutes because I feel that that's kind of where enough that people will hopefully sit and watch. But that video took me, and anyone that's watched me live on Instagram or Facebook, that video is summed up, and that's only me cutting it out and tacking it in place. I've probably got about 10, 12 plus hours because I don't know what I'm doing. Someone said to me, "Oh, put some welding rod, put some rod behind it, so you got something to. So when they do tig it up, you got something to buy it to." So I was like, "Okay, what can I use?" And another lad went, "Get some welding rods, bang all the flux off, bend them into place, or a coat. There you are. So even a coat hanger. And I've been like I said, I've been really lucky through my little journey so far in the custom world. I've been really lucky to have like my mate gave me the ZX10. Then I've got a mate who's fucking incredible at paintwork, and we did the paintwork. And then my friend who gave me the ZX10, he looked at it. He was like, "Look, I rattle can. I literally bought 3 cans. I think it was 3 cans for 20 quid off eBay." Because I'm a working man for supporting a family, like literally like you, like obviously you're spending a lot more money on more expensive builds, but you're still on a budget. And I just wanted to create something. So then anyway, so I got the tank sprayed by my mate and it looked fucking incredible. And my mate looked at it, was like, "There's no way we can let that bike out with a rattle can frame. It just doesn't do but justice." It looked okay, but it just didn't look where it needed to be. So then my friend like literally said, "Look, we'll pull the bike apart. I'll pay for all the powder coat." So I've just been really lucky so far to dab my toe into the culture through the generosity of my friends, But I think where people put up with me waffling on is I don't claim to be anything. I don't claim to be something I'm not. I keep it real, and I just love the culture, and I think obviously. I love the culture, and I don't have the money to go to shows and build loads of bikes. So this is me connecting with the culture, with people that have experienced more and done more. I really get excited like doing this. I interviewed a guy called Terry from Lethal Threat in America. Like his shop's based in the Bronx, and like, he helped push it. One of Indian. He knew Larry, and I got my question mark on my wrist. I got Larry's question mark in my pocket watch, and there's me going back to being a 10-year-old kid sat in my house in Spain, watching Biker Build Off, watching Larry at 10 years old, and then 22 years later, I'm talking to somebody that Larry, and I'm like, fuck, like,
Mint Bling, shit. The white chopper that we built, Mint Bling, was inspired by Indian Larry.
Yeah,
because
fucking
what legend. A fucking dude! What a dude! And then to fall off while he's standing up on his bike and bang his head.
I know. I mean,
random.
Yeah, and obviously, and again, like I can see where we appeal to. Like Larry built bikes to ride. They
100%.
weren't. I mean, like you like jump. I mean, I've never ridden a hardtail, but I can't imagine jumping up on a seat on a hardtail and it's standing true. That frame's got to be on point. That bike has to be. I mean, must be.
Straight-ish.
Yeah. Or at least, and then putting a fucking he did a shovel front and a pan rear.
Knuckle front, pan rear,
front and pan rear, and it's like, wow. I know it's been done before. The Chain of Mystery. Do you know that? Yeah. Do you know that bike? According to the internet, that bike holds the highest record in a sale for a custom built bike. It got sold last year, I believe, or the year before. I can't remember.
Initially, when his widow did the first auction of that bike, it only made $40,000.
and then obviously then it got yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, because it apparently
There you go.
but it holds the highest record for a custom built though, doesn't it? Like when
I don't know whether it still does or not. Well, we can Google it.
Yeah.
Somebody Google it.
Somebody Google it. But what a fucking guy. I mean, and again, like, you know, he'd sit there and just talk like, I am who I am. This is, I mean, even his tattoos, like, you know, they just told his story, and that's like one thing that I love about
Blew his hand off in his basement, fucking about with explosives. Yeah, top bloke.
Yeah.
Madder than a fucking balloon. But
could you imagine though, just sit there?
That's back to trying to get people to cut their bikes up. Cut your bike up.
Yeah.
And do it. I champion all of that. I'm well up for it. Go out, express. Nobody ever made a bike that was in a showroom that I liked all of it of.
No,
I didn't like I was like, oh, fuck, I love that ZXR. Don't like the seat unit, but I like the seat unit off the X-Up. So or the FZR 750R. I like that suit, but I like the front half of the ZXR.
Yeah.
So I'd graft a Yamaha arse end onto a Kawasaki because I didn't like any whole one bike until the Hypersport came out from Ducati, of course. And the Hypersport, as in the 748 916 996 998.
Yep.
But so that was a 1989 ZXR 750 I had, but it was all about street fighters as well back then.
Yeah,
in the late 80s, early 90s was street fighters.
The magazine went out. What stopped being published? Was it 2010? I think 2011.
Well, Street Fighters magazine
stopped doing this. Yeah, they actually stopped publishing the Street Fighter magazine because I used to get mine in Gibraltar because I worked in Gibraltar.
It's the same team behind Backstreet Heroes, so Nick Sampson and they're
still going. I mean, it
took up until this year before I had a bike in Backstreet Heroes.
Really?
Yep.
And we've got one of the guys in the comments, Bob from Canada. Bob built a custom hardtail BSA. Bob been featured on the front page, and obviously, well, you know yourself. Once you get on the front, you become the main middle spread of the magazine. And when I had Bob on the podcast, he was telling his story. He'd come to the UK, and he was doing it. So his sister lives in Spain. So he'd obviously stopped in the UK, ticked off the bucket list, went to the Ace Caf, and he's saying like how he's sat there and having a cup of tea or whatever he was doing, and he looks over and he sees someone reading Backstreet Heroes magazine, and at the time I don't think he knew that he was on that issue, and he looks over and there's him sat on the so he's in London all the way from Canada, you know, and this is like what's so fucking cool about what I'm doing, like. I'm just sat behind it like we are now, and I'm getting to hear these stories from people, and I fucking love it. Like, I love. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy to think that you've only just been featured. Yeah,
it's not. It was a little bit by chance, but we just had an open day, and Bear, one of the Piss and Moan Club that come in on a Monday. He knew Nick from back in the Chopper Club days and what have you, and he said, "You've never put a mint bike in the magazine," and Nick's like,
"It's crazy.
I've been asked to."
Oh, so it's just the fact that you've not asked.
Yeah, it was like he said, I'll come up to the open day. So he come up to the open day, and of course, the open day, the Ada was there, SNS was there, Cheesy was there, fucking all of the Flawed was there. So all of the, but because a couple of them are still local, so they'll ride up. And he's like, "Fucking hell, what one do I take a photo of?" And I was like, "Any." So I think he's got a little bit of a back catalogue. So he's done a.
Oh, which do you know which issue you're going to be in, or are you already in it? Because basically, I've got. Do you know which issue you're in?
No.
Which?
No.
Yeah. Has it been published yet?
Yeah, two
Have they
have.
been published?
Yeah. Ada's
Righto.
been out and SNS.
I have a look because I got a stack of them. I've got a stack of literally. I'm
Yeah.
literally just looking at them now. I've got a stack of one of my mates has got
But
a monthly
as Bob with his
subscription.
BSA, I'm not in it. I'm not in it. They're just the bikes are in it and the write-ups in it.
Righto. Righto.
I'm not very good on camera.
Hey, you love it. You're all over fucking YouTube, mate. I mean, I'm not good with camera. I've only been on Amazon Prime.
That's through my boys doing it.
Love it.
Diamante, Tomboy a bit. I mean, what a story that is. Two years down the line, and now she's building her own frame.
Yeah, we need to touch on that a little bit. So, how did you get to meet her?
She was doing a piece on custom Harleys, and it was I think
her profile's huge, isn't it? Her profile, like what she's achieving,
it's massive.
Incredible. It's incredible.
So she said, "Can I come up and do a program on one of your bikes?" So I said, "Yeah, come up." And she arrived, and she said, "Oh fuck!" She said, "Oh fuck! What one do I do?" And I'm like, "Pick whatever one you want. Pick one." So she said, "If I do this one today, can I come back next week and we'll do that one?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So that was one or two episodes, but in between that, become quite good mates, and I'm good mates with her other half, Iggy. Now, it was all the time she was in there. She's just like, I want to be in here. I want everything about this shop. I want to be in here. I want to build my own bike. So I said, "There's a ramp. Build a bike."
That's
She's like, awesome. "Well, you'll have to help me." Oh, really?
Tell her, like, sorry to interrupt you. The last video I watched is when Iggy had got the surprise Sportster. That's the last one I'd seen, because she'd come round and obviously, you'd done it. So she was supposed to be working on Jonesy, I think.
Yeah,
great. Yeah,
I saw that. He was actually stuck in Russia. He was stuck in Russia. He couldn't get out of Russia, so he was having to buy Bitcoin or something, and then Dee's brother over here was having to try and cash it up to get the money to get the donor bike. Because I'm like, I found a donor bike. You know, we need $3,500 for this donor bike. You get me $3,500, and there's your chopper. They're like, right, well, Iggy's piling Bitcoin over, and Damon's cashing it in left, right, and centre, all unbeknown to her. And that's how we managed to get it. But he was stuck in Russia, which is why it's only her brother and his wife that are in the video. He's not.
That are in the video, yeah.
Because he's stuck in Russia.
Yeah.
What a palaver that was. But yeah, so that started with. She then put out. She said, "Well, I haven't got the YouTube channel's not. That's all she does is her YouTube channel." She said it's not profitable enough to buy a bike. So she put out a little bit of an SOS, and somebody said, "I've got CB750 here." You know,
because all the names are on the seat cowling, aren't they? All the names are on the seat cowl.
All the names on the seat cowl. Yeah. They said it's, you know, do what you like with it. So that's how that started. But all along, she's going, "Want to build a hardtail chopper? I want to build a hardtail chopper." And then she did a track day in Cyprus or something, or a Ducati day over here at Silverstone, and she's like, "I think we should go on track." And then I'm like, I'm sure one of the old Gixxers from back in the day, one of the ones that Sam barrel rolled into the catch fence at Paddock Hill Bend at some point, is under one of these benches somewhere. We'll dig it out.
There's a bit there.
That's it. So that's how Apex was said, we can do it. So, because getting towards the end of Jonesy, she's going, "What are we going to do?" I said, "About what?" And she said, "About priceless lessons and what next build are we going to do? What?" Because we get on really well. So funny. A lot of her funny stuff isn't in the YouTube videos. As me and
Right.
Stitches. A
Yeah.
lot of it's language barrier stuff where I'm ripping the piss. But she's
Yeah,
very,
it's
very
like you're
good at editing.
like an old married couple.
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
very,
yeah,
very, or dad and daughter, I think. Don't do the married thing. But she's good at editing. But she's going,
yeah.
what in that accent? What the fuck are we gonna do? What are we gonna fucking do for next year? We're gonna fucking build next year. And I was like, so that's how the track. I said, well, let's build a track day bike because
Awesome.
at the end of the day, that's something that I'm all right at doing them.
I can do them as well.
But all along, it was like I haven't quite got enough money to do my Harley yet, and I want to build a hardtail Harley. I want to build a hardtail Harley. So now we've just started that little journey. I can't tell you on here how far we are ahead.
No.
But it's like, and she's fucking brilliant. TIG welding. There's a couple of lessons early on in our YouTube. It's where I'm actually teaching her how to TIG weld, and it's whether she's a seamstress or not, or what, or whether it's a girl thing. I don't know, but the patience and the hand dexterity, and eye to hand maneuverability is unreal. And her TIG welds are.
And that's one thing to like, sorry to butt in there, like with the power of social media, that's an incredible thing now where women have got more confident to show that they want to do this. Do you know what I mean? Like I was lucky enough to interview a lady called Ria. She goes by the name of Ria the Welder. She specializes in sissy
I know
bars.
Ria the Welder.
Do you know what I mean? So I got to interview Ria, and then obviously, you know, once you follow someone, obviously the algorithm suggests more people like-minded, and then you're just sitting there scrolling through. I mean, and to be fair, some of the greatest. I mean, I love. I come with a tattoo background. I used to tattoo in a studio in York. I'm not a well-ranked tattooist, but I love the art. I love the culture.
I've got a bit of ink.
Yeah, I see you got like a load of sprockets and things, and
there's all sorts of stuff knocking about. The back's bad.
I seem like one of them fucking weirdos, but I just like I say I watched all the fucking series just because I loved what this stood for so much. So obviously, and like you and your boys were pumping out fucking episode after episode, like it's like, you know, you weren't fucking.
And they're all to hear with tats. They are.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, your boy in Australia, he'll be glad he got them all done here because like an average day price in Australia, from what I've been told, is about $5 grand.
I don't think he's had much more done.
Australia's big money, like big money. Yeah. I mean, America. So again, it's only according to like.
Here. I fix bikes for tattoos.
I ran out of money, and I fucking tattoo. That's where I ran out.
Bikes for them.
Well, I've got a machine.
I'll fix your bike. I need a bit more doing. Yeah, that's all right. Happy days.
Sweet. That's it, isn't it? That's what it.
Some of them didn't even know they had bikes.
Oh yeah, they're like yeah.
But anyway, I won massive champion. The zero gender gap when it comes down to male female bike builder.
Exactly the same.
The design ethics seem to come to women a lot easier than men when it comes to different curves or what goes with what, or whether you can see something at the top of the bike that mirrors it somewhere down the bottom of the bike. There's the calmness approach to learning is a lot easier than it seems to be for the male for some unknown reason. I don't know, but there's lack of frustration because in the early days I'd say you're going to fuck that if you keep doing you're way too long there, you're doing this, that and the other. That's not how you do that. And start to do it again. I go, you're going to fuck that. Stick with it. Didn't get frustrated. So, no, I'll try again. And to the point where I'll be like, fuck that. But she's like, no, I'll try again. And I think we should feature more of her doing. It's down to how Dee edits the videos.
Yeah,
it should feature more of her fabricating skills, because when it comes down to brackets, I got to make fucking brackets. She's brilliant at it. And but it is all about brackets. You should know
yeah,
that. You should know
yeah,
that. Fucking
yeah,
brackets. It's not just like
yeah.
two bends
Fucking hell.
frame. You've got a bracket for this, bracket for that. You've got to do bracket. And even when you thought you've built all the brackets, you're going to have another 2 brackets to do. And
I'm fucking trying to make headlight brackets.
Headlight brackets,
I did
all brackets, caliper brackets.
Yeah, like I did on my ZX10. So I did. So I've got like almost like gone for like a flat trackery style front, because I'm not a fan of baits and just headlights like that. So I did like a flat
80s,
board
90s.
and two little like LED spotlights, and then I did so I did like the modern day, the modern day car where the fucking indicators go like that, they swoop sideways. So I got a set of them off eBay for like £6.50. And then when you cancel, the indicator comes back to a side light. So I chain drilled holes in the side of my panel that I made, and I literally just fucking I super glued them on, like, and they've fucking been on for like
silicon.
2 years plus. They've been on 3 years. But like,
there's a design ethic in there, isn't there?
Yeah, but like coming back to the making the bracket. So you got a bracket that comes off the top yoke that holds the fucking speedo, and then obviously you got to make the bracket out of 2 pieces because the wires come out the back of the speedo. Then it's like pencil steel round there. Then it's getting a dome nut. Then trying to hold it in place and weld onto the back of this 5mm pencil steel. And then obviously, because I can't fucking measure the same. I mean, when I built the subframe, I thought, right, I'm going to try and do this how people do it on YouTube and Discovery Channel. I'm going to get a tape measure out. I'm watching fucking.
It is important to measure, Josh.
Getting a center, mate. I'm just fucking there. Like, that might explain why I ride the bike like that. Actually.
Measure twice, cut at least 7 times.
That's me. That's me. And then realizing that I knew I should have fucking learned how to count.
Plus, if it looks straight, if it looks good, right, it's right.
That's fucking it.
See, I'd be like that with the back half with a subframe, and it'd be tacked up, and I'm like, fucking bob on. But an hour and a half later, Sam and Moose will still be going, that's another mil to come off of that, and it's got a level on it, and but that's what I'm saying about the way that they build stuff, the way I build stuff.
So I build stuff with more like your mindset. However, I'm just not as good at doing it as what, like I say, flapping disc was my best friend, like after welding. Do you know what I mean? I did so I've got the original, obviously the 1987 ZX10, so the fucking Bobcat, the ugly fucking thing, and then where this tank kind of countersinks for this seat, the original seat that would have kind of, as you know, swoops up into the, like, because I think they weren't really a super bike, were they? They were like a sports tourer. They were. I know the original ZX10, but it weren't really. It was very low, very wide, and the ones were the typical where they come up off the top yoke and were bolted to the. I know they called it I don't think they even called the first ZX10 a super. I think it was a super sport. That's it. So I did. So what I did is when I've got the eBay, but everything of mine is eBay. So I got the eBay Cafe Racer seat. And then obviously I put that on there. And one thing I never liked about a lot of builds, and this isn't me knocking people's builds, I thought that they went to all this effort of creating an incredible subframe, some incredible welds, incredible paint job. And then where the seat met the tank, it's like they thought, oh, it's okay. Like, hang on a minute, the tank's up there, the seat's down there. Like, so I wanted to attempt to make the tank follow into the seat. So I did. So I cardboard, did a wrap round piece, and comes over. And then so someone said to me, right, when you're welding it, because I've never done tin, I managed to weld a subframe together. All I was told about welding was, as long as you get the heat right, and you'll know that you got the heat right because of the coloration around the weld. That I was told was, you'll know when it kind of, as long as you don't blow through it, and if it's sat on top, you'll be able to knock it off, and it's obviously not going to hold. So I was told, put a V on every piece where you're going to lay a weld, and was told to literally just as you go, start off lay a tack kind of, and then you know, next to it. Obviously, you tack it in the place where you need to, and then my friend was like, right, tack it, and then lay another tack next to it, and then start to learn how to follow, like move it along. And like I say, one of my mates is like 6 foot odd, 22 stone. I built this subframe. I was like, right, sit on this thing. I've told this story loads of times on the podcast, but I was like, sit on that. And he goes, well, I said, now jump on the fucking thing. I said, if it don't break, it's fucking good to go.
It's a crash test dummy.
You know, but
well, it's very important to push your MIG weld. Don't drag it.
Okay.
Push. So you're covering your weld with your gas. If you're dragging it, the weld's happening behind the torch, and it's not covered with the gas. So push your MIG. Don't drag it. Although if I'm in a difficult situation, I will drag it.
Yeah, yeah. But you're actually the second guest I've had on here that's actually said the same thing, because I was lucky enough 2-3 weeks back to interview Paul that owns Bare Knuckle Performance, and obviously was commonly previously known as Bare Knuckle Choppers, and he obviously specialised in building frames. And he said even down to the air in the room, could interfere with the weld. Because obviously he then educated me on, because all I did is I stripped down, obviously I cut the shape out, and you see it all on my Instagram. I cut out the shapes I wanted, and I took back about half an inch of paint off it. And he said, no, he said, you got to go way back. He said, because it heats up, that then fumes get pulled into the weld, and it'll leave you with a dirty weld. And like I say, I've been so lucky to, like, even like you saying the same thing. You know, it's like it's a great privilege to get, because this stuff you can't just learn this stuff. You know, it takes years.
No, you can't. But my first welding experience was with a guy who I still class today as the best welder I know. His name is John Dias, and he's a little bit of a local legend. He's called John the Welder. But going back to that MT5 that I had when I was a kid, when I was 16, I binned it and I broke the foot peg hanger. And I pushed it 1/4 mile to this guy's workshop. And he was putting sills on Cortinas and Escort vans and Morris Minors and stuff that was about in the day. And I pushed it to him and I said, is there any chance, hello, mister, snotty nose little punk rocker I was, hello mister, my foot pegs, can you weld it back on for me? And he said, yeah, I can, yeah. And 2 seconds later, was glued onto and I was like, what, that's fucking amazing. And I said, how much is it? And he said, give us £1. And I was like, oh, okay. I said, I have to go home. I haven't got £1, but I'll have to go home and get it. And he said, right, leave your bike here then. Go home and get it. So I had to walk home, blagged £1, walked back, said, there's your £1. And he said, no, the fact that you went home to get it is good enough for me. You don't pay. Yeah. And to this day, this very, very fucking day, he has never, ever charged me for anything that I've asked him to do.
Wow.
And he taught me to weld way back. And he's not very well at the moment. He's got bad lungs and stuff, probably through years, a million years of welding. But I love him like a father, and he is one of the best characters that there is around here. John the Welder, John Dias, his name is, and he is the reason why, if somebody asks, he's one of the reasons why, if somebody asks me to help them or to show them how to do something, I'll do it.
Yeah,
because that's all he's ever done for me. Is I'm like, I built a Yamaha Gamma. So I had a YPVS 350 LC engine, and a 250 Gamma chassis, ZXR 400 swing arm in it, and a 748 front end in it, and a GP 250 body kit. But I had to get this motor into this 350 LC into this Gamma frame, and the 2 front tubes at the front, I couldn't get the bend on it. It was a bit of a cut and shut. And I threw it in the van and I took it over. It's quite a long time ago. I took it over to John's workshop and I was like, fucking help me out here. So I'm struggling. I can't get the chain alignment right. I can't get these two thing, and he said, "Oh, we'll cook it and we'll run it on the anvil." So he literally torched these beams
Wow.
and formed them, bent them up so that it fitted perfectly, and the bolt holes lined up. My motor was in within an hour, and I was
Wow.
like,
That's awesome.
"How much, John?" Don't worry about it. And
That's
a cool bike, that
incredible.
Yamagama. It was interesting. But so to this day, that's when, so whenever someone says, "How do you do this?" When
Do
Diamante
you-
says, "I want to learn how to do that," when Sam says, "I want to learn how to weld," when
yeah.
whatever that, I'll give them time because I was given time.
And I also think that's a big thing, the bike scene as well. It's like I had this not as great as a story like that, but I had like where a guy wanted me to he bought a first 125, and again I said to him, I said, look, I'm not a mechanic. I says I can put things together. I said I can fit you an exhaust. So he bought this new exhaust, come round, changed all the exhaust over on this bike for him, and he tries to hand me 20 quid, and I'm like, no, I don't want your money. And he's like, no. I said, no, you don't get it. I said, and I had the ZX10 already kind of like half built as a roller at that time. I said, you see that there? He was like, yeah. I said, I haven't paid for any of that. I said, so I can't. I said, even if I wanted to, I can't take the money from you. I said, not that I want to. I said, but that's not how this world works. And he was like, what? He's like, no, but you've just spent an hour or
Well, the
whatever it was for you.
fraternity for a start.
You
It's
know,
another big shout. I'll tell you what. Let's have a shout out to. Let's have a little bit of a shout out, right? While we're at this moment, that's your matey that you helped out. You didn't want to take any money for him, but I got in my crew guys like Bear, Brains, Rich, Hot Rod Tom, Lee the Engine Carrier, and you've got all these guys that are and I'm the only person at Mint Customs. Mint Customs is me. That is it. But the crew that you see on the films are there. They're my mates. And without any of them, I couldn't do any half of what I fucking do. But they'll pop in on a Saturday social, on a Sunday, whatever. Rich and Lee the Engine Carrier are in a unit next to me anyway. Rich builds hot rods, Lee builds drift car fucking custom things. Blah 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 blah. But without them, I couldn't do anything, and they cost me nothing. And then, but I also help out. Although on the other side of things, you've got people like that help me out. People like the DL Cycle guys.
Yeah, they're in the chats actually. The last comment he put is calibrate. Yeah, I've interviewed them. I was lucky enough to interview them boys a couple of weeks ago. His last comment was calibrated ichrometer. So when we were talking about when we were eyeballing shit. Yeah,
I put a shout. You ain't got a coil, have you? Yeah, it's in the post.
Yeah.
We
actually spoke about that in the podcast.
Yeah.
And
he got like this guy got a Dirty Wizard custom lot, another fucking Fruit Loop pair or whatever. But without any of these, without each other within the fraternity, I don't think any of us could actually perfectly function. Or
no,
it wouldn't be a smoother life. There's a call went out, Chicken Ranch Chopper Shop, needed a gear lever. I had a gear lever. I whacked it in the post to him the other day. Because it was surplus to me. Don that from the DL Cycle lot was like, we've got a coil here. No, we're not using it. I'll whack it in the post.
Yeah.
And with some other shiny stuff, I hear it hasn't arrived yet. It's coming tomorrow morning. But apparently, I've got a gift package from the DL Cycle boys. Awesome. We'll see what happens.
That'll be cool.
Oh, my wife's here.
I am not coming in.
You're not coming in?
No, but I can tell them, all your viewers, the birdie.
Massive shout out to my missus. Where are you going?
Yeah.
What about with tea?
A shout out to Birdie.
Shout out to Birdie.
Shout out to Birdie. Shout out to Birdie.
Yes, Birdie.
Or for your case, 3 1/4.
Wrong hand. Yeah, Birdie. No, that's I'd be monumentally fucked if it weren't for her. Because I get free reign.
From the wife.
I did accidentally smash an egg in her face on Boxing Day, so she told me to fuck off up the workshop.
Oh, mate, no, I think that's like my missus. Like, I mean, I jokingly say to people, like, I spoke about it a little bit, not massively, but like, I get stuck in my. I'm a person that gets stuck in my. I get stuck in my own head, you know, and then I can get lost in darkness and all that crap. And like I say to people, like, I struggle to put up with myself, and letting know my missus putting up with me. Do you know what I mean? It's and like now, like my son's just walked in the front room. He's just giving like. I know that I've got a cool group around me, you know, that put up with my crazy shit, and you know, without the people in our lives, like really, like say,
yeah. If I haven't
you know
mentioned you,
what I mean?
they do know who they are. But there's some cool builders around here. There's a pretty cool builder, but there's a young lad around here called Ant, who's one of the mint liggers. He's just had a bike in Backstreet Heroes, but you need to keep an eye out for him. I'll try to something chicken customs.
I could possibly follow him. It'll be
Choking chicken. I don't know. I can't remember.
choking chicken.
I can't remember. But just keep an eye out because he's pulling some funky stuff out. What's that deal? Yeah, you do. Hopefully, it does turn up tomorrow. Got presents coming.
Shiny.
Shiny. What have I got then? You haven't pooed in a bag, have you, Don? I'll just wait for him to answer that.
Just wait for the reply. It's like, oh shit, I knew I forgot something.
Oh, Josh.
Yes.
Look, up there. We've beaten the DL Cycle guys. 2 hours, 11 minutes. Talking bollocks. Have we actually found anything out?
We have actually. You went a lot more into depth on things than I thought, which is fucking awesome because like you kind of say things like how I say it. Like I kind of tell it as a story, even though it is a story, but you kind of like you can just tell that there's passion in what you're saying. Like you know, like one thing I found really cool with the podcast. I've been so lucky to interview people that have never done a podcast before, and some people are like, oh, I'm really really nervous doing them. And obviously, like we did, we spoke for a few minutes before we went live. And I just say to the people that are like clearly nervous, I'm like, look, it will literally feel like it is right now. And at the end of it, normally a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of them go, do you know what? I didn't realize we've been on that long because not everyone pays attention to the time. And then a lot of people go, what? Thank you very much because you're so like yourself, you'll be so busy in the moment doing this cool shit, not realizing that there are people outside of it that are watching that love what you're doing. And then you go, do you know what? I didn't even realize I've done that fucking much. Like, thank you for kind of giving me a minute to like think about what I've achieved. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's a fucking privilege. I love it. Like, that's one thing I kind of say to my missus. Like when I did, I got gifted a hoodie and a hat from a company called 50 Cal. Like he reached out to me like, oh, watch your podcast. I'd love to gift you. I'd love to do you. He actually did my logo that I got here flat out on a hat and on a hoodie. And I was like, wow. Like, cause like I said earlier, like I listen back and all I hear is me going blah, 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 blah. And I think like, how the fuck want to listen to me? And I did a live. So kind of where I was going with it is like, I did a live reveal of opening the package, and I said to my missus after, I was like, I hope people see that, like, how genuine this is to me. You know, like,
yeah,
like because so my dream with what I'm trying to do here, 666 Customs was obviously it's kind of like the rebel to society in the name. Obviously, 666, the number of the devil. You know, kind of sticking your middle finger up to the fucking bullshit. Which that's me like wanting to build my bikes, not claiming to be anything and just kind of having a go. The podcast, like I said, come about like with the idea of just I want to give every person that loves the culture as much as we do the time to sit and tell their story. And I know there's some incredible people doing that and they're doing it at a higher level or they're doing it on a bigger level, but I just felt, well, this is my opportunity to kind of give something back to the culture that we're all part of. But my dream with it is like, I now want to create, I want to turn this into a business. So I'm hoping soon I'm going to be able to get my website running and develop a platform, develop a website that people want to come and hang out, whether it be that, and I don't mean hang out like sat talking, whether it be you're looking for a bike cafe to go to, or I'm going to be running like selling bike parts and bikes, or what would you call it? A classified ad section, and I want to go to all that. And the reason why I want to do that, because hopefully I'm going to be able to turn it into a business. And it means that I don't have, at the beginning, I thought I want to monetize the podcast if I can, see all these people doing it. And then after about the 10th episode, I realized that, you know what, if I monetize this podcast, it goes against what it stands for. Do you know what I mean? It then becomes a biased platform. So therefore,
but nobody's going to begrudge you for wanting to earn a few quid.
No, but I truly believe that as I continue to learn, I'm now learning that there are ways that I'm going to be able to, hopefully, if I do it rightly, stand by kind of what I'm trying to achieve. I'll be able to kind of create a business around it and still keep what it really stands for, which is a non-biased platform for bike builders, tattooists, seat makers, beard product companies, like, and I hope that everyone feels that this is what I'm trying to achieve.
I'll tell you something, and that some people find quite strange, is the fact that I'm now actually retired. I'm now actually I've got a little part-time job which pays my mortgage. I still need my mortgage paying, but from full-time bike building 3 years ago, I packed up. I packed up building for customers, purely because it was getting too much, and I wasn't liking what I was having to build. Birdie, just brought my cup of tea. A hand has just appeared in the thing. Got to turn that round. Look, there's a hand with a cup there.
Mate, my missus will randomly open the front room door and she'll stick a middle finger up at me and shut the door again.
Yeah. She just brings tea. Oh, where are you? There we are. There we are. Now I'll only build what I want to build and when I want to build it. My job pays for my house, and I'm a fabricator at a. I can't tell you where I work.
No, that's cool. That's
yeah. But I do the stuff with Demonte, with Tomboy a bit. We usually film on a Monday because that's normally a quiet-ish kind of day. But other than that, the projects that you see on the go in the shop that I Insta stuff up, they're stuff that I want to build, and I'll build them when I want to build them. And
probably the happiest that you've probably felt in a long time. Not that you had a problem building for other people, but like you say, it gets tiring. It's similar with me with tattooing. I left the studio mainly because I wasn't making enough money to support my family. But then I found myself, there's only so many love heart outlines you could do before you got sick, or paw prints. And, I like doing like black and grey horror style stuff. And then now I'm lucky that obviously some, like, yourself, like you do a bit of welding for someone does some tattooing. Everyone generally is happy to trade one for the other. So, I've kind of had that as well, but I enjoy it more now. Like I enjoy more. I don't get to tattoo very much, but when I do, I enjoy it. I go to my mate's house, fucking whack table up. I bring my old my personal roll
cab. A scratcher.
But my work's cheap. my work's okay. It's okay. It was good enough to get me into a studio. So
yeah. That's fair enough.
I mean, I'm self-taught. Never apprenticed. And I'll send you some pictures of my work after in DM and on the old Instagram DMs, amigo.
Yeah, because I'm
see what you think.
proper savvy on all that.
Yeah, but if it looks
Insta
cool,
and WhatsApp and that.
Insta.
That's
Mate,
because
I'm the same, and
the boys left me completely high and dry
yeah.
on that front. No more YouTube, no more Perry Brothers YouTube, unless Sam does some stuff in Australia.
Mm.
Right, Insta's yours. You've got to manage that now. Facebook, you've got to manage that now. And I was like, what the fuck? I'm nearly 60 years old. What's that? Wanting for my happy face tattoo when I come.
Yeah, but Bob's he's got a scar, so he's coming over to the UK again, and he's got a scar that's like basically he's going to end up looking like a happy face, if I remember correctly. So I'm going to hopefully go down and meet him when he comes over. He's going down to London for a few days, and so that'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Good job. I'll tell you what, I hate to, apart from the fact that we have beaten the DL Cycle boys, 2 minutes 20. I hate to piss on your parade, Josh, but I've got 6% left in my phone.
Oh, but that's cool, mate. To be fair, I never expected to keep you this long. It's been
when you
awesome.
messaged me the other day and said, "Do you want to come on the podcast?" and I said, "I'm fucking great at chatting shit."
Yeah.
Easy.
No, it was and I also messaged Tomboy in a bit, and she's actually. I was surprised she replied because I know how busy. Because I've only scratched the surface of that world of social media stuff, like what she's absolutely killing it at, and I hope people really believe, like, when people reply to me, because I know how easy it is to get DMs lost. Like, you'll have a request section and there'll be shit in there that you've never seen, So when people actually do reply to you, I'm like, fucking sweet, like,
Yeah,
I love it. I love it.
She'll be interesting.
It's gonna be good. It's going to be good.
Get her on the show, and it will also, on the tit for tat thing, that will boost. It boosts your, what are these called, podcasts? It will boost your.
It's called a podcast, yeah, or just waffling shit for 2 hours.
Yeah. I told you I'm good at that. But it'll boost it because other people that are following her and her antics and whatever she does. She is madder than a balloon, though. Before
one of my objectives is to pick her brain on how she achieves good quality content, because like my content, like I've got a lot to learn, you know what I mean? And she's obviously doing well at it. It's incredible to see what she's doing. And also being from a different country, learning another language and still achieve like that.
She speaks 3 different languages.
That's crazy. I mean, I speak 2 and not the greatest at both.
She works incredibly hard on what not only in the workshop, but it's an hour and a bit drive for her each way, and then she'll edit all night, all day edit. Then she has to get up, go do a film shoot with them, go film with them, but get home, edit, run a house. She's got a son.
Yep.
Look after Iggy because he's a nightmare. And do all that and be this YouTube social person that you see. She works and goes to the gym and
I say I've only just scratched the surface of it, and I mean there are days. So like for me yesterday, I work a 12-hour shift. I do day shifts and night shifts. So my day yesterday, for example, was out the door by 5:20 in the morning. Do a 12-hour day shift, come home, have my dinner. Then I got a 40-minute drive over to my friends that cuts all my vinyl for my shirts. And then I get home till like 1:30 this morning, and it's like, so I can somewhat understand, like, and I, again, only touch the surface of it. And the same with bike building, like there are days where people think, oh, you built this bike, but they didn't see you in the workshop doing a bit that no one appreciates that bit.
No.
Like for me, one of my, what's crazy? I did with the ZX10 top yoke, obviously being that I've got straight bars on it, the way it was originally cast, there's a ridge that I didn't need. I needed it to be dead flat. I took all that out by hand. No one knows that I did it because I wanted to make it look like it was factory. you know, because
You did, well, you did it with a file.
I did it with file because I was worried about fucking. I was worried about going through it and fucking it. Do you know what I mean? So
you've yet to find a mate with a mill.
Oh no, yeah. No, I was
That's next on the blagging list. Find yourself an engineer. Within the space of it's a bit of a sad story, but I'll do it real quick. Within 15 years of building stuff, in one industrial estate, I had a powder coater, a sandblaster, a seat upholsterer, and an engineering firm. So any of the weird stuff that I could come up with would go to Craig Ross. Fred Pound was my seat. Greg, the engineer, was all in one unit in a little town called Baldock, just up the road from here. Last year, caught fire.
Fuck.
It was a staircase company around one side of these units, burnt the fucking lockdown. So within an hour, apart from all of my mates losing their businesses, I lost powder coater, sandblaster, seat upholsterer, and an engineer in one night. And years it took me to build up my relationship with them. And one fucking idiot in a wood factory took all of their livelihoods away. Gradually, they're getting back on their feet, thank fuck. The engineering, Fred Pound, the seat guy, he's working out of another little unit. The engineerings are up and running, powder coaters are up and running, but the devastation that caused, but selfishly, really, really selfishly, from my point of view, is I lost all the major people in my bike building circle. All the major people.
And you knew you could kind of jump the queue a little bit, you know, when you.
Yeah, but completely fucked me.
Yeah.
Luckily, not as busy as I used to be. And luckily, they're all back up and running. But yeah, that was just a queer thing that happened. The fact that over your time, when you start doing stuff, you'll find a powder coater that you like. You'll find an engineer that you like. You'll find a seat upholsterer that you'll like and stick to. You'll luckily, if you're unlucky like me and you lose some really, really good painters through no fault of their own and through no fault of my own, but I've lost some really, really, really good painters. One literally, but you'll find that you'll build these people up over your time of you when you start building your whatever else you escalate to after your 125 and your cracker's finished. But you'll find that a lot of custom builders have got that little gaggle that they're go-tos. They're like, Craig, I've got a fucking wheel here that I really want to use, but even I can't comprehend how I'm going to bring it up. And I'll literally dump it in there with a swing arm or dump it in there with. It was grafting some 749 wheels into a Honda swing arm, and there was a lot of offset to work out, and a travel arc to work out, which I'd done all the maths with and I was happy with, but to get how the cush drive, to get everything machined in, I just took it to him and went, for fuck's sake,
help,
make that work. And
And that's the stuff that, like, when people walk around the bike shed, go, that's a cool looking bike, but there's only a small handful of people that go, wow. Like,
they'll notice that should not have gone in there. And you're like, yeah, because that was in my head.
Yeah.
But I'll open the door to their shop and they'll go, oh, fucking hell.
Hey,
that's
what I'm like. So, like, the guy that cuts all my vinyl for my shirts, he's actually the guy who painted my ZX10. And last night I'm like, Richard, I've got a new idea for the paint. And he just looks at me, he goes, Josh, I stopped painting. I said, yeah, but I know you've still got the spray gun and the compressor, and all I need you to do. And he's like, yeah, but Josh, I fucking stopped painting. I'm like, yeah, but I've had an idea.
They probably, there's Greg and Craig, they probably father and son. Greg's old school, so he'll go, oh, I think we need to do that with that. And but I don't know whether if I open the door, whether they're pleased to see me or not. I never know.
Oh, fuck it, mate. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
I
then I
said
get
to him,
offered a cup of tea, but it's really like, do you want a cup of tea?
yeah, I suppose you better fucking ask. Yeah.
I've got to go. I'm
So I
at
was saying to him, I was like, oh, I'm gonna let you get off, mate. Thank you for taking the time, mate. I
Thanks to
really
everyone
do
for
appreciate
listening.
that.
We talk chat shit for 2 hours.
I think this could be the highest one. I'm not sure. There was another one I did with a guy called Jay Hole. He built it. Well, you might know Jonathan Hole.
You're literally going to fuck off any minute now. Look, I've got 2%.
I want to catch you later.
Love you.
Bye.
How'd you turn this off?
I'll turn it off.